neither had Liquid. The time keeps ticking, ever present and ever worrying here as we sort of sit and wait where the first motion move is going to come from. Usually it's been a bit of a problem here for the side of Liquid. They've gone against the shotgun on close corners and suffered, but they're sort of just sitting there for 20 seconds.
Please pop it. Please pop it.
I mean, he slinks his way back around. They're looking for the fight. The Warriors, they don't want to get caught in the smoke canister or Goyo and be burnt, but with 20 seconds left, you got to do something. There's Nesk somehow getting in the swing there onto KZ as Lagona spikes his way back around to 3 versus 2, but they've still got a plan of 2 versus 2. Lagonas and resets with the kit, fighting their way into the site against Felipox, who does go down the 2 versus 1 at this point, but 5 seconds, a 1 versus 1 with the cover. Nade, he's trying to scrap his way. We are going all of the way. I believe the statistic is you can only win attack rounds in overtime, but who gets the rule of the law in the final round?
Well, this is the funnest stat I've ever been able to present. Both teams had 100% success rates on defense in regulation. Both teams now have 0% win rates on defense in overtime. What in the hell am I watching?
It's like the map is going to normalize statistically, so it becomes like 70% attacker or 50% attacker, but only if the balance of overtime versus in-game.
Yeah, look, I mean, a bit of a strange round, that one. Super scrappy, probably not the same clinicalness that we saw from W7M on their attack. They now go back to attack as Liquid are fighting tooth and nail to get themselves a map here against their rivals in W7M. They're on the defense. I don't even know what to think of it anymore, Emmy. I got no idea. Is it regulation defense? Is it overtime defense? I got absolutely no idea who's going to win this round, and that is the beauty of it. That is the art of this map, of this game so far between these two teams. And to be completely honest, this is what I expected in this series, not what happened on Clubhouse, certainly not what happened through the first 6 rounds, but this moment right now, into the 15th round we go between Liquid and W7M. W7M looking for the swift 2-0. Liquid want to send us to bank.
It's almost like a dance-off, this map, where each time one team is allowed to show their moves and the other sits on the side and watches, and then
repeat it.
And then the next steps up and does it and repeats it and plays against it, and you're just waiting for somebody to go, all right, enough of this, I win. The hold onto piano and a quick break and a bit of attention towards it. Now we have the quick zip in the pockets of JV92. Are they going to see if they can try and find the Amaru?
They could go fast here with the Ying and the Amaru, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking right now, because only Lagonis is on the side. And I said it before, it's a vertical watch and hold. But we have seen plays stolen before. It's a scrappy fight that Nade comes off a little bit worse for wear on, with Volt still watching, and he's going to be the important one to watch, as if the flashes and blinds come across it, his glass is a very important utility.
Here we go. Little lurk up towards yellow from JV. Not going for that fast push. Not going for that maybe fast entry in towards site, coupled with the Candelas. Felipox, speaking of said Candelas, throwing them in. Lagonas catches Nade. Does get traded though immediately. KZ just barely by the slimmest of margins in towards Piano, and said behind it now to get the plant down. If it's successful, they've got the repel. Denied though. Reset. Plant has not gone down. Liquid in control of the round. Palu gets the kill onto Felipox. Davy's going to get moving, but he moves too slow. It's like he's stuck in quicksand, and Liquid send us to bank. From 6-0 down, they win here on Consulate. It's a comeback victory of massive proportions.
0-6 to 6-6 to attack wins. It says round breakdown there. It should say our breakdown. I am speechless, flabbergasted, Liquid.
Emmy. My God. Well, look. Those first 6 rounds of W7, I just want to say, I can't even lean back because otherwise I look really short. Like tiny. Those first 6 rounds, I thought were very good. Very good from W7M. And we started to get into a bit of a jovial mood because at that point, they looked so utterly dominant. We're going on to the attack of Consulate, which statistically has been good at this tournament. So we kind of felt like, yeah, at some point they'll get a round win and this will be over, 7-1, 7-2, whatever. But Liquid, to their credit, had the mental fortitude to never give up. And I mentioned kind of like after that first round when it's like, well, set that mini goal. Can you get to 6-3? Because if you can get to 6-3, you've done the world tour and then it's all about, okay, we can do that. Look, we've won 3 rounds. We can do it again. They did it again. They got it to 6-6. And then the fact that W7M then get the overtime match point, and then I'm like, oh, all that was for nothing. For them to then win the next 2. What a sensational game.
We're going to go to a quick break before we're back with map 3 and hopefully sanity. See you soon.
Let's see how proficient Scars end up being here on the attack. IQ in play. Interesting decision, given the defensive composition here, I suppose can help spot out those electro claws if required, and the Thatcher follow up with Util. Early aggression from Lost, the run out. As those said, EMPs will come through. Single ball dealt with by Tayo on the Thermite. Mindful of the jump out, of course, but that won't be committed to by Lost, who are probably still reeling after the last few rounds.
You saw it on the face of Dats. He's like, just went all the way back over. He's like, I give up. I don't know what to do. It's just been absolutely styled on as the IQ just used there to get rid of the Electro Claw, of the Mew Jammer that was placed as well. It's going to be quite difficult now to actually get that control. So I actually like the pick of the IQ here, just taking care of those Mew Jammers, which can, of course, be such a pain, especially if you want to get your drone game on point and in-game. You know, there is still a bunch of them out there. 5 of them left for play for Scars. So as they start opening up vertically now as well with the Ash, trying to get that vertical pressure in the places it's needed.
So minute 25 then on the clock. As Washoy will continue this lurk down below, you can see the triangle with both the IQ and the Thatcher. They'll rotate off though, instead emphasizing their efforts now over towards the objective itself, and they need to do a job in displacing these defenders on site who, as we can see on the overhead, aren't really under a whole lot of direct pressure at the moment. That will come through though now as the Thermite will sneak forward. There is some information available here for the attack to link into, and we'll see if Scars can connect the dots on this attack.
I think it's too one-directional. They're all just trying to push in from this one breach and maybe from the Samurai window. I don't think you're going to be able to stick that as the opening is coming through. You see Rack being taken out by Lobin there. The entry, the exothermic gets removed as well by the impact grenade. And there's 35 seconds left. You need to make a move, Scars. You cannot just continue waiting here as Pion starts bashing into the keeper barrier. He's going to be pulling away the attention of Maya, but it's all just going towards low. It's a flawless round to respond after how that round went previously.
Well, that was disappointing for the attack of Scars. It really did fall apart.
It's too one-dimensional.
I agree. Too one-dimensional, and I mean, sometimes that can kind of work, but you need to have direct pressure on the defense, and more importantly, even on top of all of that, information. They had nothing. Going in blind, breach not opened up after the back of the impact, and yeah, I agree with Lobin's hand gesture there. Just kind of like, what? What was that?
It's like, I think they needed some more verticality, like use a buck to open it below so that, you know, their places are a bit made uncomfortable. Yeah. Or you would have needed like a Dokkaebi to go for calls, or you would have needed a Lion to be used for making sure that they wouldn't be moving as soon as you go for the execute. But instead, like, it was just focusing on opening up the 2 walls and then trying to go for a push in. They didn't even open up one of the walls properly. So it's a bit of a disappointment on that round there, but hey, it is going to be locked for the next 3, so there's opportunity for Scars to find some success on the others. On T, and well, probably would be barbecue right afterwards. So let's see how far they can come over there.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of the attacking composition we saw from Scars. The IQ in hindsight was a little bit unnecessary. So we'll see a bit of a switch up here into round 8 for what has become a little bit more on meta for the most part. There's Zofia with explosives, can counter the keeper barriers, and then more importantly for the execute itself, we have that Ying Dokkaebi combo, which can be challenging to deal with. Wreck as well on the Nomad, so once Scars gain space, they can protect it and make it challenging for Lost to play a retake. The attack will be spearheaded through Geisha, but by the looks of things, Tayo makes his way over towards that breach, and it will be opening up I believe uncontested, unless there's a mute on it, which I don't think there is.
Different angle on it. They want to open it up a bit closer rather than as wide, just to provide some security for the people on the balcony, I reckon. What I'm worried about is potential frost mats, as we do have a frost on the board. Where has cameraman placed them? Now, there's 2 of them underneath that main window. You do not want to go for a jump it. I don't expect them to, considering they've just opened up the wall. And with the Candelas coming out, you kind of want to use the free room. Oh, that's actually quite smart. With Loban out there, C4 will come through, will blow up a little bit early, not deal enough damage as well. Shoei will be able to take down cameraman.
Cameraman, you could see coming out to the rest of the team that the pressure's coming their way. Scars on that initial push out on top, a 3 versus 2, and Maya forced to the back of T-Room. I think he spotted one in through Geisha, slither of that silhouette. Swings for the second, and the shots do land, but Rek still standing. Tayo to go for the plant, and that coverage from Rek needs to be on point, but the sneaks through Geish. Too little too late in denying, but Tayo under a lot of pressure.
Shotguns are starting to come through as Maya will find Rek, and there comes a shotgun as well. You might have been able to get that plan down, but quickly denied by the side of Los, who now will be equalizing the score, get us up back towards a 4-4 scoreline. And now the tertiary side's coming in, and this one is the most important for Scars. If they manage to find success here, and again get that plan down, but this time confirm it, that's when they have the opportunity to push us at least towards an overtime, where they have the opportunity to lock it off in 3 maps, or 2 maps.
Yeah, I mean, you lose the tertiary and it starts to look pretty dire, I think, for Scars. I don't think that these attacks have inspired much confidence in us, and probably not the team as well. They are struggling at the moment to break down this defense. I don't know if they're perhaps a little bit too linear. I don't think focusing on Geisha is too much of an issue there, but probably needed a pinch elsewhere. I think that came from Rek, but ultimately he was low on HP and had to play quite passive. Let's look at the replay package and try and break it down. At this point, 2 versus 3, so Scars with the advantage. Loban, though, to advance and made the right call to actually flank through Geisha. And despite that smoke grenade on the floor providing some coverage for the plant, ultimately not enough, and the synergy and the coordination in the 2 versus 1 there from Lost didn't go astray. So a good start to the half from them. Again, if you're just joining, perhaps from the B stream, Lost had some big coordination issues on their last couple of attacks, and we thought that maybe that would bleed here into the second half, but yeah, not to be so far.
I have to say though, Scars' attack in that last round looked quite well, but then I think they started focusing the plan too soon, because they had a 1-man, a 2-man advantage. If they would have slowed it down a little bit more and started locking on the re-entry angles of the defenders, they might have been able to get yet another kill in, because they were playing that trade game. They had a safer opportunity to actually go for a plant, to actually go for a play, because right now it was just 2 1v1s whilst the plant was going through, which eventually did not go right. But we do have barbecue. It is that floor right underneath karaoke. Verticality will be quite important here, and you see it as Scars is paying attention to it. They are fine. For a second there, I thought Yol was actually going to open up at the moment someone was walking by. I mean, he is looking there for a reason. He's just waiting for some noise, which he just had as that barricade went up. He's like, I think it just barricaded the door out there. It's going to be slowing them down slightly. C4 underneath. Be blowing up. Might have actually just... Oh, no, because it's on the other side of the reinforcement. So still going to have to use some soft reach to open that one up.
Yeah, that's Dash inside of Geisha, and his position will be exposed once the wall is worked here by the Maverick. As you can see, now complete, wall soft. Shoei will likely come across to open that up, or Pune, obviously, with a breaching charge, can get that job done if required. Scars looking for top control to then pressure down below in towards kitchen. The Warden, though, to hold firm. Again, that's Dash. And we'll see if the Warden can have an influence on this round and on holding this presence up above. He gets taken low, but still survives.
He use an EMP. He's not going to be able to use his glasses at that point, and then your flashbangs are going to be coming in clutch again. He's just going to be able to use his gadget right now and not get any punishment for it. His dots will be coming in and will take down Tayu. You see them rotating back out now. Dash going back behind the boxes, trying to find himself some security. Rack will find Maya, though, as still the pressure onto Geisha's coming in, but this time also from the top of Black. So definitely trying to clutch into that one position, because it is so important. It's direct verticality above, but Dash finds on more. To C4 will find another, and suddenly it's only up to the Sophia up on the rappel, who's trying to recover that diffuser. Probably gonna get shot as soon as he repels in. Ghost Bro now is expecting the runouts to come through. That's one pickup, but there's still 3 more to find. Actually spots one other. But Dots is a little bit quicker on the trigger there.
Yeah, major misplay there from Scars. As you mentioned, they had the Thatcher EMPs available. And if you're going to play the Maverick, those EMPs need to be redistributed elsewhere. 2 key interactions where they could have been used, one against the Magnets and then secondary against the Warden. Now, understandably, that particular interaction is quite rare, so it's not going to be at the forefront. But at this level, that's the kind of deeper thinking you need on attack.
You saw Maverick tossing 2 flashbangs. It's like, it's not going to do anything with the Warden there. It's like, you gotta make sure he doesn't have those glasses available. That's why you want to use that EMP, just to disable those gadgets. And it's not like you were going to use them anywhere else.
Yeah.
It's like you were looking at the setup, it's like, great, this is like quite literally the only place that it would matter to use those EMPs. So it's unfortunate that they didn't, realize that in time and fell afterwards. Might be a call they'll make later on. But it's a full rotation now from the side of Loss. And we're going back towards Exhibition, which was a very one-dimensional round from the side of Scars, but also a very one-sided round as Lowe's just not receiving any pressure, just completely shutting them down, or right next to the bridge, waiting for someone to make a push happen. So they definitely need to change something up there.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
At least they had the line in the Dokkaebi I talked about before. They needed something to stop the movement, or at least be aware of it.
Somehow we still continue on. Liquid, W7M refuse to die. Liquid, they are refusing to die. From 6-0 down, they fought back, forced overtime, and then win out the second map. That puts them on 5 points overall, which does mean later on after this game, if M80 cannot beat Bleed, they're out of this tournament.
Could you have predicted this?
Well, no, not from 6-0. I mean, no, I could not predict this at all.
There's like the windows.
I predicted the opposite.
It's the windows of when you could have predicted this. When it was 6-0, no. At the start of the groups, no. At the start of the day, no.
At 6-3, maybe.
Maybe. And it's just unbelievable. And it always is. It's the beauty of this game. There's not many other games that can have it go from all or nothing.
Exactly.
Right? Every single round, apart from maybe sight lock, is the only thing that can carry over. No economy.
Yeah.
No missing operators.
You know what's so fascinating about this? Firstly, as soon as we got off broadcast, it's like straight to the stats man in Fresh, and it's like, firstly, first 6-0 comeback, yes, confirmed here for SI24. Secondly, that was so defender-sided for Consulate, it dropped a whopping 8% attacking win rate, which was, again, the highest coming in to this game for the tournament. It dropped 8% in one match. That is astronomical. It is now no longer the best attacking map at the tournament simply because of this game. This is why statistics isn't always, you don't always put everything into stats.
No.
Stats lie.
Stats lie.
Sometimes.
The storyline
Doesn't.
The storyline is what matters here, and this is a comeback story. I mean, it as I said, it's the magic that you want on Derby Day. You want
the magic of the cup.
The magic of the cup. You want the magic of the cup. You want teams that are sort of, surprised going up against each other. They have such a history.
Wait, hang on.
And they can't shake it off. They knew that they were trouble when they walked in. They're a blank space. Look what they made them do in this Bad Blood.
American football. That's all I've got.
Can you do an American accent?
No, absolutely not. I cannot do an American accent. But
say the team, Kansas City.
Kansas City Chiefs. American football.
I can't. Is she Southern? I don't even remember. Where's Taylor Swift
Why
from?
did that sound like Michael Jackson for a second?
Where is Taylor Swift from? Is she American? Hi, I'm Taylor Swift. I love football as well. Okay.
It's me, Travis Kelsey, and of course I'm here with Taylor Swift.
Hi, I'm always here.
Always on camera. Always stealing the spotlight.
In Australia. Yeah. We're going off to Bank next, where we'll be.
Aren't you supposed to be in Australia?
Oh, I should leave.
Yeah, probably get going.
I'll go.
On the way, stop off at the bank.
I will.
Because that's where we're going very, very shortly, of course, here for Liquid and W7M. Final game of the series. Sure to be a good one. Hard to predict, apparently. And rightfully so, after what we just saw from the last map.
I mean, the fact that that's gone to 45-55 from where it's started.
Well, I mean, would you not want to back in the team that just came back from 6-0? You saw the emotion that they clearly displayed after they won that game. Like, I'm no, stats man. Clearly, I'm not fresh. I don't play ranky. But what I will say is,
You
in
play
terms
ranked.
of raw, yeah, I play ranked. In terms of raw emotion and what that can do for you going into the next map, it's massive in terms of sports psychology.
Huge.
All the momentum. And for W7M, like, to be fair as well, this now makes it harder for them to top group because Virtus Pro play tomorrow, and now all they have to do is go 2-0.
I mean,
Just saying.
the stories, the magic of the cup, the magic of the cup. Ossa is not going to be part of the magic of the cup here. Banned on bank. Yeah, fair enough. There's a couple of particular plays that we saw even earlier today, or at least I did when I was casting it on the other stream.
Yeah, so if Virtus Pro 2-0 bleed tomorrow, they will top this group. W7M will not top their group.
No.
Because of what's happened in that map. They can win this now, and honestly doesn't mean anything. In fact, this probably doesn't really mean anything for Liquid either. To be completely honest, I don't see a world in which how this is going to change much for Liquid. Sorry, I mean in terms of topping the group.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
what it does for them is it means they are very unlikely now to get grouped. We had that storyline kind of brewing, the fact that Team Liquid tomorrow play M80. Obviously, if M80 and Liquid had have met, if Liquid lost 2-0, Liquid would be on 4 points and M80 on 0, which meant an M80 win. You get the picture. 2 + 2 = 5. And clearly, though, for now W7M, this loss on that map means that they can't top the group if Virtus Pro 2-0 bleed tomorrow. And that's a big if, because Bleed are obviously a very good team, and they've got every chance of being able to take maps off anyone, apparently. They took a map off Liquid. They obviously went and, well, actually, they beat Liquid.
They beat Liquid, they took a map off W7M.
Exactly, yeah.
They are technically the top dogs in the showdown. The thing that this...
What a fun group.
If Liquid wins this, the one worrying thing for Bleed fans is it makes Bleed's chances a little bit shakier, I think.
Well, Bleed, no, not necessarily. Yes, the fact that they're on 4 points, but Bleed actually play M80 after this game.
Right.
So we'll know that answer immediately. So Bleed only have to probably get a map off of M80, I would say. I mean, ideally they beat them, and I think they're very likely to beat them. But yeah, it does make that next game really enticing.
Spicy.
Either way, we got this game though first, which has obviously going to be a very fun ending. I mean, for W7M, if they lose this, they are certainly not going to get top of this group. Like, they, at least win this, and then it gives them a chance going into tomorrow, not because of what they can do, but maybe what Virtus Pro will do. There's still a lot on the line for them to win this map, and the same obviously then goes for Liquid as well. You jump up quite a lot if you can get that second map to go from either 1 point to 3 points. It does mean a lot. Get over the line. Plus, also, I think for Liquid, there's probably a little bit more. They would love to just beat W7M.
Oh, yeah. It has been a long time since they last were able to beat them. They haven't been able to beat them this whole year, I believe, unless there was one at the very beginning, but I would have to...
You're like, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I want to be confident. I am as confident in this as I was in making the bit with Taylor Swift song titles earlier. I'm not a big Swiftie. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I listen to miserable...
I'm also not a Kansas Chiefs fan.
Who are you a fan of?
Up the Packers. Go Pack, go.
Oh, yeah. Green Bay.
If there's any Packers fans in the chat, go Pack, go.
Do you know what they should do? You know how at NFL games, when they do cut to like lookalike celebrities, they should do that with like audience members and the talent at the live stage and see how it goes. A minute 20 has passed at this point-ish, and everybody is still standing.
Yeah, well, mainly because right now for Liquid, it's a 5-on-site stack here, Locus and CCTV, hence why we're kind of just chatting around, because there's nothing really to talk about right now. W7M have just got a bit of a freebie up above, no roam game from Liquid. They're just more than happy to play Denial down below, which is interesting because they've really only got the smoke and the Vulcan canisters that can be dealt with by the Roteros. Bang, fire. Minute 20, so Vulcan canisters kind of pretty much dealt with now in terms of that server-side push. We'd like to see at least something else from W7M in terms of maybe the hatch play, main stairs, but right now from Liquid, it very much is just on-site hold and just hope that that's going to be enough. And Bank basically into vaults, hitting these gas babes to deny plans.
Now Resets is watching a bit of a long angle all the way from the back end of the site. Philippox has control of the hatch as well. He's hoping to try and get a catch on a player that might try and get a catch on a player swinging wide. It's Hertz that gets the opener onto Volts. Finally finds the first, and unfortunately for them, it's the smoke that gets removed. Going for maybe the throw of the first bit of gadgets. The second fight is the follow through, and it's Parlo who gets his head taken off by Hertz as well. They have the cover, and they have the first two bodies. This seems pretty cut and paste right now for a round going into Liquid's favor because, well, against Liquid's favor even, because they just cannot get close to the fight. Look at this. They have been entirely strong-armed. Anything close towards stopping this plant. Nask has to go for the retake up the top. You assume it's going to be watched by at least a drone. in a post plant 2 versus 5. They have vertical control. I mean, that was not just a flawless round, that was a flawless attack for my books on that side. Textbook.
Yeah, I mean, it's the case of, though, no real pressure from Liquid. That's the issue for mine. The fact that there was no real, like, proper flank. They really weren't able to get any pressure over towards server. Blue stairs is typically a position that is held. You might have even the smoke get super aggressive with a shotgun up close or a mute, for example. They didn't really offer anything there, Liquid, which meant then for W7M, time was not a factor because they were able to obviously get through the checklist really quickly. We saw them opening up the site from server. No real contest. They dealt with Volps. So there went obviously the gas babes. They were able to also deal with those Vulcan canisters really early off the Roteros. And there was no kind of then second option from Liquid in terms of how they could then change that round late in the round. And clearly then it was flawless from W7M. Didn't really make any mistakes, but that's mainly in part because Liquid's defense was a little bit poor, a little bit shoddy. And again, maybe moving a little bit away from what was so successful on Consulate, which was that counter aggression, which was the lax of resets in their face. So you're just sitting back aside. W7M will take. You need to get in their face. That's why they were so successful. So for Liquid, don't go away from what worked in that 6-0 comeback.
5 seconds left before.
Okay, this is gonna maybe cause some trauma. Imagine if we have a 6 attack, 6 attack.
No.
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
No, I would need
It's
a
not gonna
therapist immediately after the broadcast ends.
I got a photo between maps 2 and 3 of the admin team, our wonderful admin team, of the person running the match, just lying on the floor, face down in the carpet after the last map. I understand.
I understand.
They saw us in the chair. I fully get it. W7M, they're able to break the deadlock and get the first attack here, get themselves off to a bit of a strong start. And as I said, it was not only a flawless, but it felt very flawless as well. They just, as I said, muscled, strong-armed, pushed, bullied, and pronged the players away from being able to offer any utility into the swing. It was, this is how we run it in scrims as possible. Nesk, trying to find a little sneaky play out, a little sneaky route. And he's looking for an option, an escape route here. Herds is coming in on top with some pressure, with some presence. He's dancing around a drone, Volps. How long can you survive? The Mozzie, the Aussie, trying their best to waste as much time as possible, but with a Monty, the French Chonchi. Oh, that really hits. So much you can do. Wow, they find one though.
Not bad. Neska's now kind of forced back down. Oh, I love the vault there from Hertz. Talk about aggression. Understanding that in that moment, Neska's really more worried about maybe getting back down towards site rather than wanting to take the fight. So Hertz understands, okay, let's go chasing. Good little vault. Catches Nesk as soon as he's making his way down towards bot main. And it gives W7M the advantage again. At least this is a bit better from Liquid in the fact that they kind of forced W7M to go for that clear. They're getting into these fights. Could have maybe had little moments go their way. Alas not, but at least buying some time. It's not all clean for W7M. They don't have everything they would have liked to have had by this point. They're not in the positions of, say, like server without really any kind of contest from Liquid. So this is better. Resets with the drop. Elite pops on the Monty now. Just kind of scans around Staff and open. Spots the castle barricade. Hello. Little Palu in the corner. Oh, Palu's still good for one, though. Oh, not bad from Palu. Honestly, the fact that he even just gets that one kill there is at least something.
I mean, really shouldn't have been able to take a body out of it. They still have the Monty, but we've got to try and get this kit and this plant down. Nade with all of the smokes and the bolts that they can make. JV92, not sure if they've utilized their hard streak charges onto the same positions they had before or elsewhere, but the rotate comes through now with about 28 seconds to go. It seems like no, the walls and the castle are still standing. So they're going to have to try and hot drop those hatches. I don't know if they've noticed yet, but they've dropped down on the wrong end of it. So they're just going to have to smash and breach their way onto this. With only 10 seconds, it's really a bit of a grab here. Resets is watching for the single player on the top. Lagonis went for a rotate, pulled back, changed his mind, and now he's firing at, well, nothing other than what he's been seeing. Caught out, and that's a bit of a rough one to swallow.
Yeah, a little bit strange considering the time left in that round. Certainly could have gone more for the plant to not. I think he eventually wanted to get to hatch, right? And in that moment, you want to get the vert. But the time was the issue and the fact that they didn't have the numbers anyway. But a better round at least from Liquid. I'm trying to give them some plaudits because they at least did something a lot better than what they did in the first round where it was just a 5-1 site stack. This time they forced W7M into that roam clear. It was actually rather effectual, but still W7M were just better and they were able to deal with it. And that's the reason why they go on and win that round. eventually got the plant, eventually rotated to server. It was late, opened up the castle barricade really easy with secondaries, and then, of course, got the win. This is the issue that we kind of had with the end of the last game, though. I can't remember if you said it on air or off air, but it was like, you go through all that comeback, you do this amazing 6-0 to 6-6, and you win the game. Don't now just go to bank and just revert back. Please come and, come to the party.
I will take credit for saying that. That wasn't me. I went to get an energetic drink.
A refreshing
beverage.
Well, someone said it.
Someone said it, but I'll take credit. Yeah, it was me. I said it.
But how many
Taylor Swift said it.
How many times have we been in these scenarios there where Team A does this amazing comeback and then Team A sucks in the next match?
100%. It's happened so many times. It's happened an unfortunate amount of times. And you want to see them, I guess, keep some of that energy, some of that momentum, because is it an argument of how exhausting it is to do what is the toughest comeback? There's the questions of your, hyper-focusing, over-focusing, you get out of it, and suddenly all that exhaustion hits you, and you realize, oh, we've got to do this one more time. Wipe the sweat off your brow. We're back in. Whereas W7M, I'm not going to say they weren't giving it their 100%. They obviously are, but at the same time, you could feel the heat and the pressure. You could feel the tension of the hand holding the mouse that swung for all the kills on the side of Liquid a lot more than you could for W7M. Then you take a breath and you go back into it, and it takes a little bit of time to really get yourself to that intensity. The drones are rolling around, they're going for the early catch, and so far W7M has been very clear and concise at what they want to go for first.
Do wonder though for Liquid. Yeah, I mean, Reset's 0-3. I was about to say, he hasn't got any kills, he hasn't gotten involved. You kind of think back to Consulate, who was the circuit breaker. It was Reset's. The fact he dies early, one, no longer good. But two, he's also playing the Echo. That's someone you want absolutely alive, the longest, if possible, out of your entire operator lineup. And so the fact that he's dead, it really now makes this third round difficult for Liquid. At least Ness has been able to get his first kill of the game. A very important one as well for Leapbox on the Monty towards Long Desk. But of course, sight over towards Staff and Open. But a bit of vert now, at least for W7M.
They've lost the hard breach. They still have two sort of pockets in openers for the quad wall itself. And with Volps going down, they're losing the smoke canister. Was that vertical? They're going to get the player back up. A little bit curious. Did they just get caught? I am assuming, hit the rotate above the hatch and didn't quite expect the fight. A minute on, you could see W7M, they're weighing up just where they want to make their approach, hacking the cams and getting the coordination of everything involved, including any Valkyries that might still be around. The IQs in the pocket of Herds. You hope that they've been able to herd.
I don't think they're going to open up quad. I don't think they've got the time for it, and the Montang is the one who's got the secondary hard breaches, so clearly they're over towards stock. I think he's just going to go for a drop. I legitimately think this might just be a drop.
As they're able to find one more, they've pulled themselves back to the little sliver of safety. They have at least one F.mine on the back end to make sure that if someone does try to swing in from the side, they get the sight. There's Ness trying to get the fight. He can't quite get the motion. The Monty's coming down, but the rotate over the top. We can see the Valkyrie, Palu's going for an adventure. He's looking for the fight, but they've pushed away. They've moved to a slightly safer spot. Lagonis is the last pick they're trying to find, and there he is. The pings on the players. They're waiting to see where the kick goes down. They know where both the two Liquid players are, and neither of them can get a breath. And W7M, clever play there because they got inside the site, but they didn't go, let's go for the play. Even though there was 20 seconds, 15 seconds left, they went, let's find where they are and work out what to do.
Yeah, I do wonder if they had info on Palu going for that main stairs flank in towards stock. I don't know if they actually had the information or not, but if they did, that would be a big reason why they kind of just then pushed forward in and away from that drop position, understanding that Palu's going to go in towards stock and then try and look down and be like, oh, well, I'm going to get him from behind. The fact that they just kept moving was the reason why they won that round. Really solid. And the fact that they were also able to deal with Nesk, who, maybe didn't die to those nades, but he was also displaced a little bit. Then the flashes, he couldn't really stop the drop either because of that Montang. Again, Liquid, I didn't think did awful things. I can't believe I keep saying it, but the fact that they forced W7M to roam clear, then they obviously had to do some really nice plays towards the hatch drop. They couldn't get quad wall opened up. It certainly wasn't the most clean round from W7M, but W7M were just better. And these are the same words I was basically saying first half of Consulate. Like, Liquid weren't awful, but W7 were just better. And then the script just completely, not even flipped, just went up in flames. And it was just like, so I can't discount Liquid, but the fact that they've lost 3 defensive rounds to begin, especially 2 of them on lockers and CCTV, really does suggest to me that they have not turned up here on Bank. But hey, I just saw them win from 6-0. Maybe they'll do it again.
Oh, it's not over till it's over.
Apparently.
It's not done till it's done.
Yeah, I don't give up on teams anymore. I've learned my lesson.
I think this is obviously, well, I mean, it could be much worse attacking than it was previous map. It's Bank. It's known. It's a known entity. And it's one that is so sort of evident in how these two teams are approaching it as of yet. There's a lot of responses toward what each other's doing. And it, as I said, becomes this argument of if Liquid were doing what they're doing against a lot of other teams, they'd be winning these rounds. But it's against W7M.
There are so many similarities that I'm having, like PTSD, deja vu flashbacks. Like the last game that I cast earlier today was NRP GK, and it was like Consulate Bank, right? And like at least 2 of the 3 maps that we played in this series. And like me and Hap were in agreement that like NRP should have won that 2-0. But we went to a 3rd map, and why? And it's like the same thing's happening here. This really should have been a 2-0.
Oh,
like we should not be on this map. But why? Well, things happen sometimes in this game. And then what ended up happening on that 3rd map, it was like a 7-1 beatdown. And that is right now what I feel like is transpiring is Herds is going to make the rappel in towards airlock. He's barricaded off, can't hit the shots though to get landed towards front desk. Resets, is able to just survive. Love the turnaround though towards top spiral with the kill. Still 4 versus 4, a lot of low members and Herds is down, so technically only 3 standing for W7M.
Getting themselves a bit of a space. Laguna suffers on the opposite end, and with this, the pickup and the body balance is swapped back round.
Oh my god.
KZ has massively
Emmy,
shown
I've
up
had
in that
enough.
second. W7M, they find 4 attack rounds in a row. Are you feeling it, Mr. Travis?
Mr. Kelsey?
Mr. Kels?
You know what I found out? Is apparently it's like, it's meant to be just Kels, but their father got so sick of like correcting people that they just gave up and were like, it's Kelsey.
It's Kelsey.
Tactical timeout taken by Team Liquid, down 4-0, and not for the first time today. In fact, back on Consulate, they were down 6-0. And yeah, they won the map. That's right. If you missed that one,
Yeah,
I'd
they
suggest
won
to
the
go back and watch it. Certainly a fun one. You don't often get to see 6-0 comebacks.
You want similarities?
I've never done 2 6-0 comebacks in a row. Have you?
I don't think anyone has. I don't think that's ever been done in the history of Siege. It would be a first.
We could be on for something historical right now.
Because this is the thing. Okay. We were at this exact same timeout after the 4th round. I think it might have been Herds that was 7-0-1. Now they're 7-1-2.
Oh, yeah, true. And then he died. Yeah.
And now it's happening again.
Are we in a simulation?
I think
Do we live in like
so.
a simulated world?
I think so.
It's really difficult to process because W7M, what they're doing now on Bank is what they did on Consulate. Utterly dominant, no real mistakes. They look like the champions that they are.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you think back to Clubhouse, they won that 7-3, and that was a little bit more conventional to the spiciness that has developed back on Consulate, now over to Bank as well. There is no world. We should not be playing right now. Like, W7 have been so far and away better than Liquid, it's just not even funny. Now, obviously, we give the plaudits and the credit to Liquid. The comeback was amazing, and that really does show value in their mental fortitude. And the resilience to obviously not give up, not give in, to keep fighting, and all of that. That's all great, fun stuff. It's okay, but we like winners. And that's been the theme of this series, and W7M are the winners. At least they should be. And if they don't end up winning the series, I'm going to be seriously confused.
You'll have some words to
I'm
say.
not going to be angry or upset. I'm certainly not going Parker levels here, but like I think
Well, he's always angry and upset.
there's a big level of confusion as to the way this game has played out.
If talent were doing lookalikes, like in a Super Bowl match, his would be Oscar the Grouch. The man who lives in the bin that is a Muppet.
Did you just call Parker a Muppet?
And a Grouch. I got him with 2 insults in one way, and this is 2 stories of watching for a single way into the site. He's hoping, Herds, that he's gone uncontested here, that they don't think that a player's been able to get into this hatch position, because you look at sort of where the site is and where the players are, this wiggle, that's the fight, but they have that awareness, and he's not getting rewarded.
Philip Fox is planting. He's just straight in, over towards default, and he's got a member in KZ watching. This is going to be an easy plant. No one from Team Liquid has watched this at all. I mean, talk about just vaulting into sight. Nice drop from Palu, but it's nowhere near sight, and of course the plant has already gone down, and now you're going to deal with the Montang. There is no Nitro Cells, 2 impacts through Palu suddenly become extraordinarily valuable. Inside of the chat is some more words. I think it was just an NS to Palu. But ultimately, what do you even do in this scenario now? KZ could just play out of E-Box. You've got Nate towards top blue stairs. It's 5-0. Surely, Palu does have the impacts, got the kill. Doesn't matter though. W7M heard Volps chirping. And now they've chirped back.
They saw opportunity. They split theoried their way across. And they took it.
That's interesting because they've done something that doesn't exist.
You know Fresh invented split theory?
He loves to tell you that.
That's what I tell everybody. CEO is well ahead. Palu obviously took the drop. I'm wondering if Palu regrets taking that drop, as weird as it is to say. Obviously, he got the kill on the back of it.
It's not Palu's fault because prior to that, it was just the fact no one's watching the...
Yeah, exactly. But like him hitting that drop is the second the plant gets confirmed.
Maybe.
And he goes,
oh, now I gotta...
I need to get back up.
You know what's interesting about that drop, though, is like in another world, if he does have more help, he can eventually rotate up blue stairs, and I actually would have liked that in the fact that W7N had someone there, and then they had someone in E-Box, so you can be the player to try and deal with that, but they just didn't have the numbers. So as soon as he drops, he's like a big factor of the on-site immediate defense, and he probably needed to stay, but I mean, at this point, we're shaping up for another 6-0.
5 seconds remaining.
Like, I can't believe it.
Camera.
What was the point of like the amazing comeback of Liquid?
If this is a 7-0, I'm going to... Oh no, I can't snap this pen in half. It's fresh as he lent it to me. Something will be snapped in half. The table.
Don't look at me.
I'm gonna RKO you through the
I've
table.
already had a broken arm. I don't need another one.
I can't RKO you through a table. That's the only thing stopping me doing that.
Okay,
Is that you had a broken arm.
Yep.
Otherwise, you would be so RKO'd through this table.
I'm so RKO-able.
Oh, I hear voices in my head. They talk to me and tell me that this is still going. 5-0. Liquid. They don't quite have anything. Oh, JV92.
You know the other issue as well is look how dominant this is. There is only 3 kills on 4 players of Liquid through 5 rounds. 3 kills, 4 players, 5 rounds. Now, Palu's got 4. He's gotten a couple. Ness also now gets involved as I talk about it. There's the kill. Second one for Ness. But what I'm trying to insinuate here is this is just utter dominance from W7M. Liquid are not in these rounds. They don't have much control. They're not setting precedent. They're not in control of the rounds. They're not setting the pace. And they're not really getting aggressive. Finally, there, at least for Palu. He's been the one to at least do something so far here on Bank. Where's the rest? Okay, better from resets. He was the hero back on Consulate. He's got 2 now in the 2 versus 2. This is winnable for Liquid.
Suddenly, there's a situation where they might be able to pull this together. Suddenly, for the first time in what feels like the whole half, it's a bit of an even brawl. It's a bit of a fight. All it took was threatening to RKO you through a table. 2 apiece. Still standing with a huge amount of time here for the attackers to try and reevaluate what they want to do here. A little bit of utility, but the problem is KZ has a little bit of health. Nothing as of yet. Bullypox still hasn't died in this engagement.
This is the last drone, by the way, that they've got in terms of the next 60 seconds, so they really don't want to lose this. At least Janitor droned out, and so they can play double stack off of each other. If not mine, also goes away. Over towards front desk side is currently where Liquid are playing. They've got good angles. Red ping, so information here onto the 2 members of W7M. This should be a Liquid round.
Very clean take there from Palu. Again, he's just keeping himself.
I guess it's just a belt cam.
Oh, there's a bulletproof up there.
Oh, bulletproof.
On the wall of stock. That's getting some hideous bits of information. He's just got to go for it at this point. The IQ reveals it, but you don't really need.
No, there should be like another belt cam in there because they were like deep inside of Janitor. They're getting red pinged.
Well, now they're deep inside the afterlife.
Oh, wasn't quite sure where you were going with that one, but eventually you went to the right direction. 5-1 to close out the first half. Liquid.
It's not going to be a 6-0.
It's not going to be a 6-0. It's certainly not going to be a 6-0 comeback, but hey, if they can make it a 5-1 comeback, that's pretty good.
It would have been our 3rd technical 6-0 half in a row of major halves, because it was 6-0 to 6-6, so that's a 6-0 half. 6 rounds without a response.
Oh, yes, you're right.
And then it would have been
yeah.
another 6-0 half.
Would have been, yeah. Well, really difficult to sort of digest where we're going to go with this because Liquid's attack was obviously quite impotent back on Consulate against the, 6-0 defense. And so don't quite know what we're going to get from this. Again, statistically, Liquid coming into the series were 70% defensive win rate and like 30% attacking win rate. Again, that's just the nature of the tournament, but they're on the lower scale. We're talking bottom 5 of attacking win rate. Like bottom 5. So they're the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it does now mean, can they go and somehow suddenly go on 4 attacking rounds?
Things have to connect in ways that they haven't even been connecting on this map. As you said, the sort of kill spread here, Palu is doing everything he can to keep them in it. The best the others have really managed is 2 kills apiece. Then you look at the other side, W7M, all of them have cleared that, a lot of them by multiple counts.
We're seeing Malusi. Not often we see Malusi these days.
The only operator... Okay, someone's outside. Oh, they're just doing stuff in dirt, sorry. The only operator we haven't seen this tournament is Rook.
Interesting. I'm sure at some point someone brings a Rook out.
Just for fun. Probably G2.
Either way, I mean, like, this is also the kind of site going back to that conversation regarding like the difficult nature here for Liquid attacking, needing 4 attacking rounds. Like Locker's CCTV alone is already a very good defensive site here on Bank. W7M more than clinical enough off the back of the smoke mirror combo. I'm curious to see what the Banshee's going to do as well from the Malusi. You've got the Warden eventually when those maybe smokes and or flashes do come through. There are a lot of smokes as well that are going to be on the side of Liquid in terms of Palu, in terms of obviously resets. Goodbye, Palu. Never mind, but you do have obviously Volps as well in the Capital.
AZ has been, I think, his best performance so far at the start of this map. The best time for him to
struggled
show
on the first map. Can't recall Consulate.
He wasn't quite, but to be honest, he didn't really need to be there as intently as the others. Maybe a little bit more on Consulate would have helped, but here they lose Palu. They lose that one person we've been citing as the one that's able to get in and get fights on. There is so much pressure now, and it's not that the guns of Liquid aren't capable of doing it. They've just been struggling with getting it done in this engagement, in this map as of this point. A minute 20. This is probably out of almost every single site, one of the top, if not the top ones that has a known utility burn towards the default plant spot. They have a lot of work still to do, and they are well aware of it.
Lagonis is rotating that diffuser towards square, towards the server side push. That's the way that Liquid want to take this. Bulbs and Nesk have actually made their way out over towards blue stairs. Lagonis still has that kit server side. They've got themselves the hatches. There's 60 seconds left. They're down a player. It's going to take a bit of a miracle. In fact, I think they might anticipate, let's go and get a bit of pressure main stairs. The drone initially, but then that's all about it. Nesk with the frag grenade. Let's get rid of the barbed wire. 45 seconds. The smoke canisters are now being deployed as well from KZ. Still has 2 more and certainly can still delay a lot of time here. To counteract that, the best thing you can do with the kit, push past the gas bay, go to the bomb chassis, then play off at the hatch.
There are C4s on board as well. You can see they've pulled out. They've dropped onto gold hatch, but instantly picked apart. Nesk has crept his way down green.
What is Lagonis doing?
Finds one fight. They're going for the plant. Lagonis went for it, and he's just going to sit and stick. As suddenly, it's just Lagonis going for the plant himself. A 1 versus 2. They go for the retake. Clever move here. You're going to get the control above. You have the single player holding onto it. The Banshee on the table is causing some problems.
Oh, he didn't know he dropped. He didn't know he dropped. He thought he was still maybe either in the act of dropping or at the hatch itself. Started to look up, and that was it. That's all she wrote. W7M will go 6-1 up. Match points aplenty, of which they had plenty back on Consulate, but this is a different story. Defense here on Bank. They get lockers and CCTV. And for Liquid, it seems as if that miracle comeback of Consulate is going to be maybe not for naught. I actually don't want to say that because that one map win alone changes things quite heavily because they're not on 4 points. They're on 5 points. But it does mean it's been a bit of a disappointing 3rd map after the heroics of Consulate. And by the way, for those that missed it, hello. For those that missed it, Volps started getting very chirpy at the end of Consulate when they got that win, when they got that comeback. So for W7M, this is even sweeter. It's like, you guys thought you were going to beat us? You thought you were going to win?
You guys thought you had that?
You guys thought you had that?
No. That's why.
You really thought you won?
Sorry, you're
I'm very quick. I'm very sharp. I'm not like, the Guz meme that obviously James posted on Twitter where he's like getting up.
Me and Guz like, yeah. And you were mid-sentence. Hello. That tickles me. That tickles me. 6-1. Liquid so far have only tickled W7M on this map. We'll see if they can try and turn that into a little bit more of a hearty blow here up towards CEO. I'm getting the sounds of a plant and a fight and a replay. I'm getting those done now. It's just moments of madness, I think, at this point.
The voices.
The voices. I hear them in my head. The approach now. Instantly up towards the top of the square. It seems like the players are generally keeping themselves in the top floor, though. No one's wanting to try and explore the map against Liquid here. W7M, they're happy to sit.
And Volps, he's gotten very aggressive there. And I want to say why, because the fact that he hasn't even thrown through. You want the vert. I think on the buck, he's in the best position. But, like, you haven't really checked all the angles properly. You haven't really seen, is there someone sitting in a corner? And then eventually just kind of oversteps one mark, and there's a vert angle watching down. He's dead. There goes the buck, and that's a big piece of this round for Liquid in terms of the vert play from below for CEO. 2 and 8 from Volps. A bit of a struggle for someone that was a bit chirpy at the end of Consulate. He hasn't quite backed it up on Bank, unfortunately. Neither is his team, though, outside of Palu. Lagona's 0-7, resets 2-6. He was amazing on Consulate. Nesk has been okay. For the most part, it's been a disappointing Liquid here on Bank. We'll give them the pat on the back for their heroics on Consulate. That's it. Nothing else. And it seems as if the series win should go the way of W7M, and a deserved series win as well. They were incredibly dominant on Clubhouse. They were far and away better on Consulate, but couldn't obviously close out on their own attack. Doing so here on Bank. 6-1, up by 4, minute 20 left. What can Liquid do from the roof, rappelling down?
Their best at this point, and that's all you can really ask for. The flash is over the top. They're going to see if they can try and maybe swing onto the stair sets, the blinds against the window. The Kiva barricade will stop that immediate push, and they missed the opportunity to get the strike as another Kiva barricade comes out. All of this time being wasted and taken away and making those attempts at an attack. You look at the utility that was dumped there. Grim was firing the bees. There's a fear charges. Palu goes underneath. They get the pinch onto the player, force them out of position. They're just going to have to try and scream their way up Spiral. Nate, his eyes are a little bit locked forward onto the window player, but it's Nesk that wins out.
Top square.
Top square, and now suddenly you can see these players of W7M starting to pull their way back round. The bees will reveal that nobody is currently on the balcony, but JV92 is very much expecting it with 30 seconds.
That's Kit. That's Kit, by the way. If Lagonas dies here, top Spiral, that's Kit, but he wins the battle. So critical. He dies, 25 seconds, no Kit. Instead, now he can actually get close to site. Doesn't even need to get to site. Nice second kill there from Lagonas. KZ towards airlock, and Lagonas with a triple, pushing up Spiral. Clean. Felt like a pivotal moment in that round because, again, if he dies, that's Kit in a bad position. No one else was even close by. Time was going to be a big factor. We stay alive here with Liquid.
His first kill of the game, I believe, as well.
First 3.
First 3. I mean, what a time.
Yeah.
What a time to pop in. Got the first and the lead in, get the next 2. And maybe they just play better when they're 6-1, 6-0 down.
Maybe
they need to be on the wrong side of map point.
I don't even know anymore.
We need the statistic of the difference of Liquid when they play when they're against map point and when they're not, and we'll see where the success comes from. 6-2. I mean, I'm going to say exactly the same things I would say against any showdown when it's 6-2, especially when you got W7M. This is probably going to end with W7M winning it. This is probably going to end with W7M winning it. This is probably not going to go to another overtime. I'm sorry, Liquid fans. I have to say it because statistically it's true. Now, Liquid fans, at this point, you go...
I also said it was statistically improbable at 6-0 in Consulate. And that's exactly what the Liquid fans would say.
That's what you need to say, Liquid fans. You say, Fluke, shut up.
Shut up.
Shut up, Fluke.
It literally just happened one map ago.
Possible. And then that's fine. And we've had this dialogue. I've said what I need to say. You guys have said what you guys need to say. Dialogue has happened. Sick. We can move past it.
You know what's interesting about that last round, though, because harping back on it, as much as Lagonas will get the plaudits with the triple kill pushing up Spiral, it was Nesk, I felt like, top square that really opened things up. So rather than just having everyone on the rappel around that airlock position, the fact that they sent one square, then one towards Spiral, opened up the map. Like, those are the kind of things I think that Liquid have been able to do when they're successful in this series. When they've been poor, it's because they're kind of one-dimensional. They all stack together. It's all a little bit easy. W7M have their backs at the wall. No one's coming behind them. That was much better because it's like, for W7M, the defense just gets spread thin. Like, they have to cover so many different areas. Top square, Spiral, rappel, KZ with a nice kill onto Nesk. That's a big loss, simply for the fact that Nesk has been pretty good so far on Bank. Again, another good start for W7M. Liquid have shown good resilience in this series, though, so don't count them out in the round. But they are on the back foot to begin here.
Similar to how things sort of played with them before, but there is still the drone, the approach, and they're going for this verticality. Palu, the point man, looking for some presence here on the top of white, but he's not entirely confident that he isn't being watched and isn't quite able to get the swing to the players that he wants. KZ has built himself a fortification here, and Palu builds some bullets into Hertz's head. Pulls himself back, expects to rotate, but it's Felipox that finds resets in the meantime, so he's like, oh, well, gotta go up and kill someone else.
Yeah, elevated position there, double push-up spiral, and I think he just wasn't watching. Volts then also tries to take the contest. Nice double win from Felipox. That might just be the round, unless Lagonas can go big again, as he did in the round gone prior. Now he needs to, well, he's dead. Now it's up to Palu. The 1 versus 4. The GG comes out from Hertz. The GG as well from Volts. Okay, well, I mean, it's one thing for the opposition to call it over before it's actually over. It's another, though, when you still got your teammate alive, like, trust in Palu just a little bit, Volts.
Yeah. KZ with the sleep.
A bomb has been located.
I don't...
No love lost, baby, though. Palu could still put them to sleep. There's time, 50 seconds to be exact. Through beep as he runs. That was not a bad shot either. Good hack the cam as well to get some cameras last second here. Needs to get that kit, though. It's a long way away from home. 40 seconds left. It's being watched. Close by. Yellow ping. He knows Nate is here. Or at least he should, based off of this yellow ping information.
Not entirely
He's just being cautious. He's being he should know this.
There's the fight. Doesn't quite get the connection with the SMG spray. Gets a bite on the second swing, but it's 20 seconds.
Oh,
they're holding on to the kit, and this is a ring around the rosies on the final fight. The other side of the shop, but it's all she wrote. Now you can type GG's in the good games. It was a game that went on maybe longer than it should have. But unfortunately, the end is here. W7M take the win, take the 3 points to the 1 that Liquid have been able to steal back from a historically meteoric performance. But all this does is confirm W7M out of the relegation zone possible in towards playoffs. Congratulations. Liquid, there's still a little bit of work to do, but a little bit less than that.
Yeah, so 7-3 to W7M, 8-7 to Liquid, then 7-2 to W7M. And look, for all of that said inside of the server, it's still no love lost between these two teams. Hugs all round, and that's good sportsmanship. We like to see that between Liquid and W7M. What a series, though. I mean, it had it all. I mean, again, I think the scoreline maybe on Clubhouse a little bit inflated. I thought Liquid did quite well to lose 7-3. Yeah, maybe it was more of a 7-4, 7-5 kind of game. Consulate was just bizarre in the fact that it was a 6-0 start for W7M, coupled then with the massive comeback by Liquid from 6-0 down to bring it all the way back to OT, then closed it out 8-7. Bank, though, largely disappointing considering what we had prior in the first 2 maps, where obviously Liquid came into Bank, you would think, with all of the momentum, but it was W7M who came in and started really, really well.
It was a surprise. I think that's the fairest way of putting it. That feels a million years ago now. It feels such a long time ago. You obviously had this fight here on the second map.
Away.
This feels a million years ago. This felt like when W7M were at the strongest Liquid brought back, but it was exhausting.
6-0, that's right.
And it's just...
And it was just 1 round at a time. That was kind of the message. At 6-0, 6-1, 6-2, we're kind of still joking around a little. Once it got to 6-3, we're like, okay, we need to like turn our attention back to this game properly. And Liquid just continued to storm home. You could see what it really meant for them as well. And then all of that for W7M to get OT match point, even then up 7-6. Still, Liquid held their nerve and closed it out. And you could see what it meant for them. It's not often that you will get to come back from 6-0.
No.
They did it, and they did it against W7M, which is huge for the 2-time champions. But boy, did the 2-time champions bounce back on Bank.
I mean, you get onto Bank, you get onto W7M, onto this attack half that they had, where they just felt great. They felt fluid, they felt active. They felt like a team that realized what happened on the second map and then said, that is not happening again. Not only are we locking this off, we're making it quick. We are making it a GG in chat before the game is over. It was a powerful performance from a team who, as we said many times, it's rare to expect a team in the finals. That was cool.
That was cool.
Little celebration.
Yeah, and look, I think ultimately for W7M, the better of the 2 teams in this series, let's not get it twisted here. I think they should have honestly won this 2-0. For all intents and purposes. And had they done so, they would have been in a really good position to still top this group. Now, their fate kind of lies with Virtus Pro. Virtus Pro play tomorrow. If VP go 2-0 in their match against Bleed, VP will get top spot. which means for W7M, they don't get to go straight to the quarterfinals. They'll have to go into a 2v3 matchup. Then you win that. Then you play a team that did finish top in their group, respectively. And I should obviously reiterate, for W7M, this is it. They don't play tomorrow, so they're stuck at 11 points. So for Virtus Pro, if they get all 4 points tomorrow, of course, they get to go top of the standings.
I mean, you're still looking at this table, as you said. There's games in hand today. There's games in hand tomorrow as well. M80, they have a total of 8 points that they could still take. So if that gives you a paint.
Well, actually, Bleed can go top of the standings.
Bleed could go top of the
Because
standings.
Bleed are about to play M80. You win that, you go to A if they win at 2-0. Then they play Virtus Pro tomorrow. And the winner in a 2-0 fashion would go top of the standings.
If Bleed...
if Bleed top the
Someone is getting RKO'd through a table. If Bleed.
Let's go to the stats from this match that we've had here, of course, for W7M and Team Liquid. It's I mean, look, two teams that I think would have been vying off for that top spot. At least one of them is. The other one will be probably just content with the fact that they haven't been grouped. Let's be completely honest here. For Team Liquid, it's more of a reprieve. The fact that M80 have clearly struggled in this group. Now, that match comes up pretty much right after this, M80 versus Bleed. And like I said, if Bleed win 2-0, then the battle tomorrow with Virtus Pro's 4 top spot. Now, again, tiebreakers could become a factor as well for W7M. They certainly would hope that the match tomorrow is not a 2-0 for either of those two teams. Otherwise, they would lose that top spot as we go to the stats here for our match of Bank. But this is a fascinating group. I'm going to be honest. This was the most fascinating group coming into the tournament as well once I saw the groups for Group C. So the way it's shaping out is even more fascinating.
I think everyone was like, uh-oh, Bleed, when the group got announced. You were
and
worried.
I was like, uh-oh, M80, because I trusted in the Bleed boys.
Yeah, I mean, you have that, and I think, you look at M80 on paper and you're like, this is a brilliant, brilliant team. That hasn't been able to, they've failed to launch, regardless of whether it's the meta, whatever's going on there. They just haven't been able to find that solidity. And yet, as you said, the fact that Virtus Pro as well, they have outperformed, I think, people's expectations. W7M and Liquid, they've underperformed in some ways. They're starting to show that they're world-class teams. And, I don't think it's biased to say we want both of those at the live stages. Imagine
I'm
the
biased.
audience.
Someone played top of the group. I don't care. I said it.
I want to see Liquid in front of 10,000 Brazilians. I want to see W7M play to their
I want to see a
capabilities.
fish on the main stage.
I want to see a fish and a mannequin on a main stage.
And a mannequin as well.
The mannequin, whatever that mannequin is called.
What a fun series, though, at the very least, between these two teams. Because I think I would have been a bit disappointed had we not go to 3 maps.
Yeah.
The way in which we got there, and obviously the maps themselves, weird, because it's like 7-3, 7-2, W7M just like toying with Liquid, and then that second map was a 6-0 lead. Like, it did not go the way I had planned. But the result is probably what I expected. It's all about the destination, not the journey. It's been so much fun, Emmy, by the way.
It's been a wonderful time.
Yeah.
Do I have to talk like this so you understand me again?
No, absolutely not. No, please, never.
What? I went to finishing school and I learned how to talk like I'm from Harry Potter.
Do you want to throw us to the break like that then?
Oh, throw us to the break. It's been absolutely wonderful casting with you, Australian stranger. We'll take it to a very quick break before we're back with the next game, which will decide if M80 are entirely pointless.
That's just bad.
Mai's just chilling in the corner, finding 2 from the bedroom. It's painful, but it is what it is. And Scars will have to try and find themselves with at least a little bit of a buffer, find themselves with a single attack round, so they have the opportunity to turn things around onto the defense themselves. And I'm not saying that's likely, because I think, honestly, Lost has this 7-0, 7-1 in the bag with the way things are currently going.
I don't want to say I said it, but I did say it. It will be a 6-0. Unless Scars can perform a miracle on this objective, we cast our mind back. Last time, very linear, big tower. Couple of years behind the meta. It used to work not too bad in days gone by, but unless you split the attack properly, it's really challenging to make that work unless Lost throw picks. And from what we've seen so far, that is very, very unlikely. Tai tries his best to sneak a shock drone in towards the site, but Loban aware, scans it out, finds it, survives that shot, and can now just chill on the staircase.
Yeah, he's not going to swing that again. Drone's quite close to go. He's going to hunt those down and with that. Only 4 drones left. They've just tossed like 3 or 4 drones at low bin. He's just gonna keep shutting them down. Is there more drones coming towards him, or are they gonna try and forget about him? Because I mean, to be honest, he's in a position. It's not that important of a position if you want to go for a plan. Usually, you would either go for the kitchen or you would go for the back of stage. But the lobby push is just not done usually. Rekka opens up though. Maya will be shut down. That is a great pick that they need to be building on. Found the opening kill last round as well, but Stotts is going to be able to take down 1 drone, aware of the fact that he might be pushed. So he's thinking about falling back. Whilst Dash is thinking about going more aggressive instead.
Ooh. Oh. Survives just. Dash on an island, but can Scars actually isolate him? Well, the answer, an immediate yes, and Dots will fall too.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
So perhaps it won't be a 6-0. I take it back. Scars have continued to fight. Low been taken very low, and we're sure we'll find that one. So it's Loban in the 1 versus 5. Should be a Scars round from here, of course. It goes without saying. But will 1 round on the attack be enough?
The nut coming down there is going to be aware of that, but the plant's going through. Grenade will be forcing Loban back. They're aware where they are. And surely this is going to be a Scars round. Why does that happen? What? I mean, this is a round that is going to Scars. We already knew that, but like, if we didn't have the grenade kill yet, does this count fresh?
Can we get a replay, please?
I don't know where that one came from. But 5-1, Scars, they found themselves the buffer they needed, and now they just need to try and turn the tides onto the defense. And again, it isn't that they are incapable of defending. It is more so the mindset of being 5-0 down. Can you bring it back at this point? Are you resilient enough to basically take this round by round rather than look at the big picture and be like, we're 1-1 in score. It's 5-1 on this map. If we lose 2 rounds, it's over.
Well, there were a couple of smiles on the player cams for Scars, so perhaps not all hope is lost. Quick look back at the previous round, and really just a case of Scars being able to maneuver their way in the map and not miss anything. Here's the grenade.
That bounced back, and Wreck just walked in it.
Boom.
Lol, well, I mean, it happens.
Classic. Well, I think the important thing as well to note is, of course, Lost still have their tactical timeout.
Yeah, for sure.
So I assume as soon as Lost get on match point, if they lose any rounds post that, they'll just call it and really set themselves up to convert the game.
I think it's going to be a rush coming out from the side of Lost. We see the Blitz out there. It's going to be solo for now, though. Doesn't have any support. Okay, so it's not going to be a rush. There's just going to be a normal approach first, but it might transition into a quick play and a quick take as soon as they do decide that it's time to take the side.
Yeah, probably looking for a trigger point. I think if Lost get an opening pick here, which has been a big strength for them, they'll go for it. Fish like getting info on the Solus, which has been quite the impactful operator on the map so far. Lost leaning into it and leveraging it nicely on the defense. Maya to push up top white. Has a bit of a read. Fish like though should win this fight and does. The prone peak for Maya doesn't work out. Dots now to try and hunt down the Solus.
If plan A doesn't work, let's just send plan B right at him, and that is going to be an impact coming through, and also him trying to drop through completely blinded. Following it, Dots! The double kill to come through, but Dash will be able to at least go for a trade, aware of the fact that they were trying to escape, but you've lost your blitz in the process. Was it really worth it to drop right after him, knowing that Dash was that close and the player was fully fleshed? Hide away. Lows are still in it. Just the fact of this round is that they do not really have Heart Breach. And I know Maverick is on the board, but opening up those hatches takes a lot of your fuel, a lot of time. And not to forget to mention, it is quite risky as well, because if a C4 gets placed at the bottom of the hatch and you start opening it up, you might just find yourself blowing up on the opposite end of things. So how are they going to be approaching this? Are they going to be opening up the hatch, or are they going to try and push down the staircases and maybe through blue?
Yeah, a couple of options available. I suppose they are going to lean into the Mav and just ignore
Breach.
the depletion of time, at least for now.
There's no way. Okay, I was going to say, there's no way he's going to try and go for a hot breach there through the hatch. Opens up. Cameraman's going to try and at least put some pressure down. Flashbangs will be sent through, but magnets will catch them. Dash, of course, the only person with a kill so far on this half of Los. He's going to try and cut the pie cleanly. Sees that blue is relatively clear, not making too much noise. Has just been spotted out by the shield, though. And that is always a bit of a difficult position to play in. But as it is going to be Scars to go in for that double kill and triple in the end, it's the lock-off. And they find themselves with the second round. The comeback might be on. It's the first step. Still many more to be taken. But this one looked quite convincing.
Yeah, well, I agree with the sentiment from the Scars camp. You could hear through the player cams.
Yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. And it was well played overall, decent roam.
It's not too enthusiastic, but it's like a well done. Up to the next.
It's an affirmation.
Yeah.
We're on the right path. And to be fair, the bar was set quite low after the first half, but any improvement was going to be great for Scars in bolstering their chances and bouncing back here on Oregon.
I mean, Fishlock played a huge role here, finding, first of all, the Ash, rotating out. Oh, wasn't actually flashed. Found the Blitz right afterwards as well as they dropped. Like, that double kill was huge.
That was pretty nice as well. So, I mean, Scars are looking mechanically sharp already here in the second half, which, unfortunately, they were never in playmaking positions really in the first half to actually put that on display. Maybe some early signs of frustration setting in here for Lost. Obviously important that they just maintain the mental, because given the nature of the game at the moment and this map and the, everything in context, there's a fair chance that they're really going to have to grind away at this half if Scars are here to play.
Yeah, for sure. Scars, of course, they've shown in the last two maps they can be a formidable opponent. Taking the first one with a 7-5, losing the second with a 5-7. Like, if they would be going out in a 7-1, 7-2 victory, that would have just been a shame. So I'm glad to see them, they've been able to find that last attacking round, that they were able to find that first defensive round, but I'm hoping to get some more. Hoping that they can bring this to a 5-5. Maybe even push this towards an overtime if it allows us. Shrek is trying to fall back. He's just saving his life. Some tracers still flying through, but he's able to avoid them as Washoy actually has a good opportunity for an opening here. Going for the jump out on the reload. We'll find Dash instantly back in, and it's a great opener for Scars. Well followed with the Solace gadget.
Impact trick on the fan down below to try and deny this hard breach, but cameraman follows it up with an exothermic, and Washoy not in a position to use his 2 impacts, of course. He was last seen over towards Small Tower. So an entry point now established for the attack, but it is a 4 versus 5. We'll see if Dots here, though, can get a little bit creative. Talon Shield in hand, plants it on the floor, and he's able to now just post up and watch that cross.
So technically, he only needs to dig in deep, get over the top of the... Oh, actual impact in the meantime got used here on Dots. I was going to say, only he really has to do is just jump over the football table, try and go for a plan there whilst the verticality is going to be in, but he's not given that opportunity yet. Rek went quite aggressive. Washoy as well, just making sure that talent shield was going to be gone. And Washoy now playing below, of course, playing with the Solace, has the opportunity to use that impact to stop that plant from happening, to start using that for verticality. And as Dots is taking some damage again as he's walking by, cameraman in the meantime dropping into pit as Lowen finds Rek. So we are all even in this round.
Oh, smoke to just force Dots back. Cameraman, though, is in a really good position. Can use the shield to his own advantage, mindful of the flank. So too is Dots. 50 seconds on the clock, just holding the line, but so too is the defense.
They must have seen that he was coming on a drone out here. Cameraman will dry as Dots gets himself right behind a smoke canister. Goes up, but he shoots it before it can detonate. And that means that the plant is now going to be on. Pion needs to be able to connect him. He will get one of the cover, not the second before the plant goes down. They need to find both those kills right now. One is in the master bedroom, the other behind the talent shield. Both low on HP. All you really need to do is hit a shot on either of them. And as Fishlike is trying to provide some cover as well, they're just trying to find themselves with the right angles. The jumping gets covered off. They now know where Loben is. That means that they just need to find a way to find Dots. And as Fishlike is trying his best to duel either or, he's not gifted any proper opportunity to find a kill. The pre-fires is coming through. He will find the very first, though, but he has only 7 seconds to start with the second one. Goes for the stick, but will he need it? Will he get it? Actually, no is going to be the answer as Loben pulls back in time. There is no time left to start this defuse. He gets a quad kill, but it's still going to be Los's round on the back of that plant.
Well, that was a messy conclusion to the round. For Osa, pivotal in opening up that plant opportunity for the attack. And once the smoke fell, it meant that the plant could be secured. Awkward 2 versus 2. Scars were trying to unlock it best they could. They didn't really have the tools to deal with the OSA directly, so there was an onus on clearing that secondary player in bedroom. Couldn't be specifically located. And unfortunately for Scars, they now are staring down series point. For Lost, though, it's 4 map points. Series points as well, of course. The tertiary site will be rotated to the Scars. Credit to Lost. Brought that round back. Scars, in terms of the opening duel and the entry, have actually done okay in the last few rounds. But
Yeah, they've been doing quite okay. Got 4 out of the last 4 rounds, so it's 4 out of 7 that we've played so far. Okay.
yeah, just couldn't convert, though. It was a quad for Fishlike, but with no time left and Lost bleeding that time really nicely in the post plant, all Scars can do is, I guess, tip the hat at what was a great attacking round from Lost.
Yeah, and try and recompose yourselves and go on, because now it is quite literally do or die. If you're not able to pick up the next 4 rounds and bring this to an overtime, it is Los who will be taking away the victory and the majority of the points here. And with that, really throw Scars into the deep end here for the grouped match tomorrow, where whoever loses is going back home. And Scars, they have definitely put up a good amount of control. There's just a player around inside of the attic and inside of the dorm's bunks that they do need to clear out if they want to have that full control. But this is also the danger. There's almost no support. There's no way that they can play cover to cover. And as Rack is going to be shot through the window, he's trying to fall back and fight for his life, but he's really just being isolated here, as you know, to see that not doing too much. Rack will find a very first though before he gets shut down. So does Fishlike. And it's not going to be great for them. Only left a Pion now in a 1v2 situation. Los have the opportunity to close this off. Pion has fallen back towards the site. He's playing this patiently, hoping to find at least one off guard, and has the opportunity to do so through the vertical, but fails to actually connect the shots. Do see in the meantime the clutch drone hacking out some of the utility. That will allow for a bit more of a stealthy play. That gadget not going to be making any noise now as they start moving through. Of course, that is the big advantage of having that Melusi cameraman, escaping the Thorn Razor Bloom, escaping the shots that Pion is putting down. He's trying to still survive, knows about the player coming in from the split. It's all or nothing, and it's nothing for them. It is going to be Los that take the victory. Scars who fall short after an abysmal first half in Oregon here. They managed to at least get a bit of a salvage with that 1 round, but nothing really more than that. And Los, in the end, I think we can only say the deserving winners of this series.
Yeah, 100%. They got off to a fantastic start on Oregon and a bunch of points for them to bolster their standing in Group D. For Scars, though, it really does come down to tomorrow, that head-to-head against the Falcons, to determine who will be knocked out of the group. I think they'll be very disappointed with how they started off map 3. They just did not give themselves a platform to defend on that defensive half.
They just couldn't connect. They just were nowhere to really be found. And it's a pain when that happens, because they've played a great series up until that point. And then they get 6 kills in 5 rounds, and it just all falls apart. To the desk, who will break it down further.
Thank you so much. Welcome back to the desk. Thank you as well, Loban, for joining us. Congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
You had a dominant performance yourself, but I want to start talking about map number 1, Labs particularly. It was very much a back and forth, doesn't go in your favor. What do you think went wrong there?
I think we didn't expect them to change so much. They did a lot of counter stress against us, so we were expecting a different playstyle, and they got us off guard, especially on the defense side. So that 4 rounds really made us struggle, because we attacked really good on the map. We got I think 3 rounds, and we almost got a 4th round on the attack side. So I think the defense side was the biggest problem for us on the map.
And my question is, then going into Skyscraper, realizing that your defense, that's where the issues were coming from, then did you guys take a step back of that more aggressive and just more turtled together, or kind of what was that?
I think it was we just didn't want them to get isolated kills in the map. people playing alone and just get killed. It's easier to do the execution of the round.
Right.
And we just say, hey, let's just not give them kills, and then the execution they play very, very badly.
Yep.
And we just got our defense in a really big wall.
Yeah,
for them.
100%.
Yeah, we had a lot of expectations from Los coming into this. We were thinking you guys had an amazing run in Atlanta. We were questioning whether or not you'll be able to replicate it. With this win, you're pretty much getting yourself up for success for that second place in your group. So what was that preparation like for yourself from Atlanta into SI? For you as a player individually, what did you focus on?
I focus on, of course, getting better individually. So I have to keep going at the stats and everything I've been doing. Of course, I'm trying to help my team with any type of intel and type of visions that I have, because I think way different from my IGLs, from everything, because I'm pretty crazy sometimes. So yeah, I just focus on fragging. So I keep giving my teammates all those kills because that's my job.
Okay. Well, I have one very important question to ask you. Obviously, your name is all over the charts, and you know your name's all over the charts. But if there's something that you could say to the community, what is like the one most important thing that you do that you bring to this team that you just have in your arsenal?
I think a big difference that I always had is, first, I play the game a lot.
Yeah.
I was one of the guys that have most FPL games in Brazil. I go to NA, I play FPL again. And I go back and play FPL more. So, and of course, like, I'm an aggro player, and the biggest thing for me is knowing what the other team does, like the things that they do too much.
Yeah.
They repeat a lot.
Okay.
So I just focus on punishing all those things. So I watch a lot of VODs. Even that I'm an aggro player, I watch those VODs so I understand what I need to do so I get those entries.
So the answer is, for the kids out there that want to grow up to be just like Loban, is VOD review, grind hard, and then display it in the performance.
Like the basic thing to say, but it is the thing you need to do.
Absolutely.
Work hard. It pays off. Thank you so much for the interview.
Thank
We
you.
really do appreciate it. And once again, congratulations on the win. For those of you at home, just a little recap in terms of how this map went. It was, well, how the series went. It was a 2-1 performance and win for Los. And that actually gives them as well some couple of points here on the board as well, which is exactly what they need.
Yeah, I mean, you need points. Everybody needs points, especially at this late into the tournament. You need them. And especially for Scars, at least coming out with one, it's not great, but it is better than nothing. Obviously, they still have a chance to push through, but they got to be winning these games. But again, hats off to Los. I mean, we're just talked to Loban, 34 and 19, 123 rating. He's an animal.
He absolutely was. I mean, he popped off today. We saw so many other players as well in this third map pop off for Los. We saw Maya doing really, really well. We saw Dash have some great kills as well coming through here. So some fantastic stat lines coming through from Los. Unfortunate for Scars, I think they just weren't in it at the start of that game. You know, we started to see some rounds towards the end there, but it just felt like there were a lot of mistakes being made in those first couple of rounds that just didn't let them get going. And, you know, we talk about Oregon's being a defender side of map. Obviously, you know, you got to attack basement, you got to attack dorms. Those are tough bomb sites to attack, but you should at least be getting a little bit closer on some of these rounds. You should at least be getting at least a couple of entries, and we just were not seeing that from the Scars. It felt like they kind of pittered out at the end of the series.
Yeah, with Scars as well, when we're looking at their performance today, potentially like this being a marathon rather than a sprint seems to be dragging them out a little.
Yeah, I mean, it was looking like a marathon from the first two matches, and then the last bit, the marathon ended right there. I don't know if they got exhausted. I don't know. I mean, I said I was kind of worried.
Welcome back to the B stream here at Six Invitational 2024, live from Brazil. I'm Des, and this is not Tim. This is Lynx. How's it going, buddy?
There's just a one lowercase name in your name. That's really funny. I'm doing very.
What are you on about?
So they just changed it. It was Desert.
Oh, I see. It's like because that's how like Pikachu sounds like Pikachu.
Ooh, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. That's where it comes from, isn't it? Because that's clever. Anyway, we have.
I'm glad you realised this after a couple of years now of really working alongside one another.
Reading's hard. But anyway, we have a very exciting game coming up, specifically because of, well, two things. One, Bleeds I don't want to say overperformance, but you know, Bleed's very solid performance, and M80 having a rough time so far. Of course, take a look at the schedule. We have had quite a few barn burners on this stream. Even the DZ FearX game, Des.
Oh, man.
DZ just barely clinching map number 1.
I cast it earlier on with Stokes, 8-6 on first map. They're up 3-1 at one point. FearX were. It was a really, really good series. Just a shame the second game didn't quite go anywhere near according to plan for FearX. But yes, this game coming up in a moment, Lead versus M80. As you say, there are so many stories to it, and we'll get into that when it comes round to it. In fact, let's take a look at the standings for this group, because I think that's really going to illustrate to you these key things that are worth highlighting. First and foremost, M80 at the moment still have 0 points because Liquid in their last series took a single map. They move on to 5. That means even if M80 win 2-0, they still can't catch Team Liquid. Equally for Bleed, if they win this series 2-0 and go on tomorrow to win 2-0, they could be top of the group because W7M do not play, and it's Virtus Pro that face off against Bleed tomorrow. So really, for both of these teams, it can literally be the highest highs or the lowest of lows. That is why this series is so important. Even if M80 get a single map and take a single point, it gives them a chance to still take the spot from Liquid tomorrow. But that's a big if, given Liquid have just pulled out a blinder of a show against W7M.
And also the chaos of this group really is in no small part because of the shockingly, I suppose, less dominant performance of W7M. They might still be topping the group, but a lot of us expected it to be pretty easy all the way through. Maybe a map loss to Liquid here or there, maybe a loss to VP, but losing a series and dropping quite a few maps has really thrown everything out of whack for this group because of W7M's performance. And one of the, if not the first team to really give W7M a run for their money in terms of series longevity was Bleed with their 7-5 victory over them on Oregon just a couple days ago.
Yes, and Oregon's been a strong map for them, 2 wins overall so far, but you saw the names on the screen just there a second ago. The real kind of sharp, pointy ones on this team to raise are Mr. Reaps, here as you see him on screen, and Turdster. The only 2 players that currently stand positive on KD, but don't let that fool you. Mentalist has had a brilliant game. Hoven was on 15+ kills in one of the maps the other day as well. There is still tons of potential in the other 3 players, and if you're going to deliver, it's probably going to be against the team that's at the bottom of the group.
It has to be, and especially because when Bleed were in Atlanta, this was the first team they ended up beating to start their very shocking run in the Swiss stage was M80 on Bank in regulation, if I recall correctly. And M80's struggles, they were present in Copenhagen when they went out 1-3. They were present in Atlanta when they went down 0-3 in the groups to be eliminated. And here at SI24, the team that we continuously hoist lofty expectations upon because of the potential this roster seems to have, not only with Spoit, the biggest name, but the Brazilian duo, Gomez and Diaz Lucas. Bringing in Yaga, the highest rated player in the NAL when he was on OXG in Stage 2. Despite all of that, something is not clicking, and at every international event this year, it has always faltered.
It has. It has been a battle, is the only way I can really summarize for them, and definitely falling way short of expectations. These maps are spicy ones. For 2 main statements I'll leave you with. M80 picking Consulate, they have never won this map. Bleed picking Oregon, they've never lost this map. It's not looking good already on paper when you stack things up that way. And I'm already nervous for the American side that they may have just written themselves into a 2-0 loss.
And then we have Chalet as the third map, which, sure, it might not have that weird little contradiction that the first 2 have, but it's still Chalet. You're simplifying things for Bleed, and for M80, simplifying the game hasn't always been to their strength. I mean, we're still trying to figure out at international events what M80 strengths really are. It's not their team play necessarily. It's not the individual skill, despite the immense potential this roster has. At the biggest tournament of the year, our questions are still fundamental ones we have left over from Copenhagen almost a year ago, whereas Bleed has very quickly captured the hearts and minds of a lot of viewers at home. And I have to say, despite the popularity, I wouldn't be shocked if we see a bit closer of a social prediction than we might otherwise would have.
I'm curious, because obviously these stats, everything we just shared with you, really do stat things towards Bleed. And most of you at home seem to agree. I'd love to know where all the points are going in the channel right now, because this is going to disappoint and break hearts one way or the other.
Imagine you're just a viewer watching Stage 1 of Rainbow Six last. You've just seen Bleed miss out on Copenhagen, M80 qualify via the NAL all the way to Phase 2, and you showed them this social prediction that not only is Bleed slightly favored in the community poll, but that it's probably a well-placed faith in Bleed as well. That we see that and go, yeah, honestly, that makes sense. We don't have a lot of questions. It's like, honestly, because of M80's continuously poor performance, from event to event outside of North America. I get Bleed being 54% favorite, and I think Bleed have a very good shot to win this series.
I completely agree. And just to reiterate everything for you here, this could be our first team going home from the Six Invitational 2024. M80 could be going out on day 4. Every other group will take tomorrow's games to deduce which team goes. I don't think it feels like a good accolade, given the memes about them over the last year that M80 would be going home ahead of FearX. It is not going to be a good look. Let's get into it, though, and see if the North American side can redeem themselves. This could very much be their swan song. Bands flying on through, though, to KB. Seen this band an awful lot across the competition. Monty is a really interesting band because we've seen, I'd say, him in equal measure alongside things like the Blitz, been very, very popular, and Fenrir and Solus. We have talked these operators to death. Things like Azami, the Valkyrie, the Tuberal, all step up as big operators too. You can't get rid of them all. And these two teams have opted for Solus and Fenrir.
At this point, the deciding factor, it seems like, is if you're going to ban any of those big ops, all right, let's take Solus off the board because the attacking team would very much appreciate actually being able to use the prep phase and drone out. But then the secondary ban with that other defense, it's like, all right, do teams want to play more of... If they're playing a very small map like Consulate is, they probably want to ban the Fenrir, where so many doorways and tight hallways. If you walk into an F-Knot that you weren't able to clear earlier, it could completely throw off your entire take. But if you have a wider open map or one where holding specific portions of the map are very, very important, teams might instead focus on the Azami to take down, which Azami, again, very powerful here, but on maps like Bank, like Chalet, where those extensions are really, really strong, you might focus on that instead of the Fenrir, where wider open spaces make it a bit easier to deal with those F-Knots.
Alrighty, well, here we go. Round 1 is underway. And as you say, we get some interaction from the attackers. I feel like Solus can be very, very anti-siege in many ways. Does stop the attackers really interacting during that prep phase. But here, things are relatively undisturbed and can get themselves moving. The comp coming out of Bleed does feel very old school, air quotes. Not really seeing the Azami, for example, that many teams have employed to help hold out towards the break room on the right-hand side of this map, which makes holding the central hallway all that much easier. Instead, I've gone into a very, very dug-in comp. I'm looking at the Goyo, I'm looking at the Smoke, I'm looking at the Warden, the Kai, the Frost. Everything just screams, we don't want to let you in.
No. And on a map like Consulate, that really is the name of the game. It can be very hard to take map control by just holding angles outside the building, cutting off players, because a lot of those exterior windows just end up ending at a wall right in front of your face. So you often have to take map control physically inside of the map with an entry. Like Spoit, you would hope, if he wants to channel some of those big moments of his career, moving actually through the map to secure forward positions for M80. But if Bleed, who, guys, I don't know if you know this, they have a bit of an aggressive tendency, specifically on the defense.
A team from APAC?
I know.
No.
A team with Reaps 96 who plays on 3,200 DPI? Surely not.
Does he really?
Yeah, something like that. But if Bleed decide to even just hold a bit of control, not necessarily take gunfights, but if Hoven wants to hold top Visa for, I don't know, half the round or so, you could end up having those Vulcan packs, those toxic canisters, burn the rest of M80's time away from them.
As it stands, they've very much grouped themselves on the east side of the building, starting inside of admin. You can see the outlines on your screen here. 3 players all grouped up, and a couple more supporting on the north and the south side. So they really want to make this east side push work. It will be a little bit easier without the Azami to play against. Iconics in underneath, and almost finding himself one. It's Reaps actually under threat, but twice now has missed the kill shot. And Reaps walks away on 40 HP.
I will see, the one benefit of that frag grenade change is this tournament, it really seems like the use of Buck from below to drive enemies out of positions, it was already semi-common. Now it's really seen a resurgence as the main method to deal damage or apply pressure to enemy defenders from below. And it's pushed Hoven back quite a bit into the waiting arms of Yaga, who has, of course, put those track stingers down in front of them to control the swing, but can also catch anybody rotating up aggressively.
It's taken 2 minutes, but M80 have got control of that central hallway. No Warden on side to catch the firebolts flying out of Gomez. It'll be the same story for any of the utility that might come on through. Pretty much every nade used, though. Yog is in, the globals are coming out, and M80 is starting to take scalps on the other side. The first 2 fall, and Bleed, very passive on this defense, are bleeding themselves dry with very little back to offer on the other side. But we spoke about Reaps, we spoke about Turd, the top 2 rated players on this team. They still stand. One more falls, a great first round. Coming out from M80, a good vertical angle for Turd, but misses his chance to find his man. All 5 players still up for M80. M80, and it feels like it's going to be a round close.
Oh, yeah. I mean, unless Mentalist can somehow channel all of that Oregon against W7M in this one particular round, a 1v5 is in all likelihood not going to happen. He's got intel on one player, might be able to turn this into a 1v3, but no, that's not going to happen. I have to say, one of the strongest M80 rounds we've probably seen at this tournament, because the game plan is, all right, we've identified players holding forward positions, one holding top Visa, one holding the long desk on top Spiral. If we can send someone up those Spiral stairs, we'll also have Spoit applying pressure from the front. If they rotate back, you both can swing. If they try to get aggressive, Yaga can cut them off and maybe Spoit can get his trade. It's a very good first step, push them back, second step, pinch them, and a very, very well thought out take there, especially when you consider that added dimension of Iconic down below on that buck, adding a whole different bout of pressure underneath. In a game where we're really worried M80 might go home at the end of it, you want to see that kind of very strong, well thought out round to start.
That's exactly what we were delivered. I was curious to go and dig into the stat check, because I swear I remember it was Stokes earlier saying that on this map, the top floor is terrible for defenders. It is indeed. Coming into this game, 33% defensive win rate. Truthfully, I don't think the numbers really kind of lay out how that round went through. M80 was slow and composed, but got the job done at the very end. My only real complaint towards Bleed was they gave up so much ground for free. Great Wall, for example, was electrified. They had shields down in the central hallway, but really brought nothing to actually protect it and made no effort to stall and drag the round out any further. So it was very much in M80's hands to dictate the pace, what happened where, what engagements were taken. And Bleed were more onlookers than active participants, but I think that might change in this round. Seeing the army on side that I called for last time round will mean getting more active around more dynamic defenses throughout the map.
Not only that, but you also have the introduction of the Mute and the Mozzie in this round, so delaying the ability for M80 to find intel and actually push those players back that are holding positions right up at the forefront of the attack. This should be a much better contest between the two, because as before, it was all focused on making sure M80 couldn't get walls. If they take too long to execute, you have the smokes, you have the Vulcans, but if M80 win the round in the early to mid game, then all that utility isn't going to come into play. Now, they've reallocated their resources to the front end of the round, of course at the cost of the breach, as M80 now have very quickly opened up that garage wall. Iconic just sending his way on in. DS Lucas is the one that finds the first kill of this round. Hubbin still trying to hold out as Mentalist, his teammate, falls
Iconic
soon after.
He's walking in through hallways, literally the back of sight, and Hoven's going to go down at the back of sight too. It's all crumbling around them. That's 60 seconds in. You've got M80 flooding in towards the site, and Bleed, half the players are simply nowhere to be seen. Stepping around for one more, a great flick from DS onto Reaps, and this is going to be another strong round, even stronger, you would argue, as it's a flawless coming out. And Bleed simply have not got out the starting gates yet. M80, that round was twice as quick and twice as lethal.
And I'm sitting here thinking, where has this M80 been the whole tournament? Like, where has this been not only able to get decisive victories, but to have a really slow, methodical, calm take in round one? Push those Bleed players back, pinch them, win the round off of it. Round two, complete change of pace. Open up the garage wall. Have Iconic flood down Spiral stairs once they find a gap. Have DS Lucas applying pressure on the front side as well. So Bleeders and the defenders in sight are left to wonder, where the hell is even this bit of action coming from? Where am I even supposed to play and contest what's going on? M80 completely changed the pace in round two and results in two very solid round wins, showing completely different play styles from the attack.
We've had some super weird maps this tournament. Like, overall, of course, the sentiment and the evidence suggests that we are in a very defender-sided meta. Some maps, I think it was Sky and Club, pushing over 70% on a defender win rate right now. It's the craziest we have ever seen. But some maps, you come into it and you just see an absolute stomp from the attacking side. And it's not always down to one team is just light years better than the other in terms of overall standing. They're actually quite comparable to one another. Ultimately, these are the 20 best teams in the world. It just looks strange when either the defenders are a little bit asleep or the attackers are really on it on the day. And I think you're seeing both of those things come into light in this game. M80 have come out, they're playing as a team, their timing is looking good. But Bleed are not putting up a fight. They're letting M80 take ground without any kind of cost.
I think if we see a similar dominant round from M80, we're going to have a tactical timeout for Bleed, because in 2 rounds so far, sure, round one wasn't a flawless. Mentalist got a kill, but he got that kill once the round was already a 1v5. It was basically as flawless as you could get. Bleed have not Saying they struggle to gain ground would honestly be an understatement. It doesn't even seem like they have ground half the time. It's just M80s waiting to be taken. Here we see them go back to the top floor, and there is that buck presence again from M80 that started that push to begin with. Also, Yaga going back on the gridlock. So they have options to return to that style of play, but if they want to go faster like they did in round 2, maybe we'll see some Amaru action from Gomez flying into CEO once they have the necessary control. But with Iconic down below, you know that Skeleton Key is going to cause issues for Bleed at some point in this round.
I've been watching the top down of Bleed for a while now, and the players have barely moved their feet. All we've really seen is Tursta move from the main hallway back in towards sites itself. He's playing on the Valkyrie, but of course the Black Eye is now being brought along. One still in back pocket, which is interesting. And I'm thinking that information doesn't really feel like it's the problem, boys. I'm not going to lie to you. It's more being able to put up active resistance against M80. Because Spoit has walked his way all the way up yellow, for example, and just taken large parts of the map like, are they going to push me? Are they just going to stand still? And the answer for the most part has been, yeah, we are going to stand still. Now at the top of Spiral, just domes Aspie. That's the boy we remember. Can't quite find a second. Mentalist into another. Doesn't respect the trade coming in from Gomez, and elsewhere, Yoga's cleaning up too. It's just all falling again in the favor of M80. Reap's bringing one back. The top 2 rated players for this team left in a 2 versus 3. Tursta goes down. Brilliant flash play coming out from M80. And they are bowling over the Apex side right now. Reap's with it all to do.
Reap's got to walk back up as DS Lucas is putting the bomb down. Gomez, the only one who might be an easy pickup for Reaps, depending on what he finds. He's got that Toxic Canister, maybe to allow himself back in the site. What am I even saying? It's an M80 round through and through. 3-0 right now on Consulate attack. And again, you see them playing on that top floor, and you're expecting, okay, you got trounced round 1. Maybe we'll see some changes. Maybe the introduction of the Azami, maybe a couple different operators to get a bit more active. And no, it's pretty much the same setup we saw before. All the players holding the exact same positions. M80 droning out and are like, really, guys? We're not tweaking anything, really?
Nope.
All right, well, we won't even give you the respect we did in round 1. We'll just flood in from Spiral Stairs into the site while we're communicating, playing trades, so on and so forth. And the trades don't even matter because it's a 4v2 about 5 seconds into when M80 give the call.
Truthfully, Lynx, I need to fess up. I didn't give you the full truth in the pregame. Yes, I was correct in saying that M80 have never won this map. But what I didn't tell you is they only played it once. And that was against DZ back in Atlanta.
I casted that game.
Yeah, exactly. You remembered it. It was 7-5 to DZ back then. Either way, that does suggest it has very much been outside their wheelhouse. It's not been a map that they have enjoyed stepping into, whereas Bleed beat Cyclops twice in Atlanta and then lost 7-2 to SSG. So able to be a home region, I guess you could call them, team, but not quite able to do so on the international stage. And really what I think you're seeing here is M80 saying that one map, right off. Bleed showing that weakness that maybe we saw against SSG.
And again, if we're going to see M80 at their most confident, their most comfortable at any point in the series, you would hope it would be map number 1, their map pick of Consulate. So seeing this here, it's exactly what we hope for. They're coming out of the gate strong on a map that they feel extremely prepped on. And now it's Bleed after that tactical timeout. Just talk things over, calm down, rethink, retool, and re-up for round 4. We're going all the way down to the basement again. They don't want to try out that CEO bomb site a third time. Definitely stuck a bit to the trend of it being very poor for the defense so far. But I want to see what they end up holding. Are we going to see 4 and 5 players on the bottom floor? The Azami playing very passively, players afraid to take gunfights and just being run over by M80? Or are we going to see players instead try to get a bit more in the face of the attack up top?
Well, that's what I think the game plan was, because you saw an Aspie out on the roam. He was up on top floor, for example, and I was like, good, you're getting off site, you're looking to cause a bit of trouble. The problem is, on the other side of things, M80 have read into that and thought, you know what? What are they probably going to be talking about here? They've been really passive. They've not challenged us anywhere on the map. Chances are they want to get out in the map and challenge us. How can we deal with that? Let's bring the Jackal, deal with the Bromers, and Spoit jumps straight onto that. So it's a good read from M80, I think, about the changes they anticipate seeing in the round, even without seeing these players off about around the map. And they've also showed good respect to the Valkyrie by bringing along the IQ. So they should be able to deal with any Bromers, force them back to site, and play out the round in a similar sense to what we saw in the first 3. Good stuff from M80.
You can also see Reaps thinking about getting a bit more aggressive, sitting at that front door. We saw the outline of him right as Gomez was trying to fake out that drone push outside of that small arch cubby. The rest of M80 down outside the breach right now. Is this going to be another quick one once they open up this wall? Yet to make too much progress, aside from some small holes opened up, likely just created to throw some utility inside of the site. Not many frag grenades on the board, but there are some flashes and smokes to burn things as they need. Hoven trying his best to hold on to both the yellow hallway and apply Kivas to the breach at the moment. Once that exothermic goes off, it'll be a very, very big hole to allow M80 the way in. But for a good point for Bleed at the moment, there's no iconic running down spiral stairs. It seems M80 are willing to dial the pace back this round.
I mean, look, even Spoit's out here expecting to find a roamer, at least one that's been there recently, but long ago, Asi was back down towards site, so he's going to have no such joy. It again gives M80 the run of the map. The main thing to watch out for, I suppose, is Turd on that Legion. Last time around, we saw Iconic just walk his way down spiral, shoot a couple of people in the back, and the round was done. Here, it won't be so simple when there's goo mines to impede you and that information being fed across the team. In fact, there we go. Gomez has just walked straight into one. Ironically, one of the operators you'd not expect to be walking into those, but has done. Yogg finds the entry. I'm pretty sure that is every round that we've seen M80 get the entry.
I'm pretty sure as well, but even with that 5v4, while M80 could play trades on the execute, the longer they take to actually mount this, the more players like M8, or not M80, Mentalist or Asfy or Turd could provide obstacles for M80. There's a fourth one I wasn't thinking about. Reaps is retaking up yellow because of that Kiva barricade, cut down Spoit on yellow stairs, and now M80's entry into the bomb site's really unclear. There are Bleed players that can watch almost every entrance they can think of.
I'm just like, finally, Bleed have grown some balls and actually gone and challenge M80 by pushing into them. So it's good to see that coming out. A C4 coming over the top. Yogg just about dodging away and narrowly missing the head of his opposite man. Sees him, Turd going low. It's a 1-for-1 back between the two sides, but M80 still come out on top. Reaps is down. Aspy's all alone. 0 and 3 might be about to become 0 and 4. They know where he is. He's getting pinged out and he is dead to rights. But Dega is ecstatic.
As he should be, the timeout not working whatsoever for Bleed. Sure, maybe not a flawless round, but while M80 take a long time to get things done, initially just probing for information, then sending Spoit upstairs in the Jackal, going for that full clear and seeing are there any roamers still left up on this top and middle floor. They go for some soft destruction, and then with low time remaining, Yaga says, all right, I've taken down somebody close. We know Roots has got aggressive on yellow stairs. That means there's probably one player inside of the site and maybe two on the backside. So let's flood all the way down through that back while I, Yaga, sit on the breach and catch anybody trying to rotate or who's displaced by those oncoming attackers. And if the gunfights go M80's way, which they end up doing, they have cleared out the entirety of the back of the bomb site and have only the remaining defenders stuck between the breach and the back to deal with.
Righty, well, maybe M80 aren't quite as cursed as we all thought they might be coming into this. A reminder, they were on 0 points. They'd taken no maps. They'd achieved absolutely nothing except defeats at this competition, but are well on their way towards a first map win already. A reminder, again, that this is their map pick coming into it. We were a little bit nervous. They haven't played it a whole lot, but it turns out it was well hid, and they definitely know what they're doing on it. But again, I will come back to Bleed not really being the most proactive. We haven't seen them getting out in the map. We haven't seen them challenging M80 to contest ground. The lineup in this round, I feel like at least suggests towards it. They've got a couple of, well, 3 C4s to play behind the pulse. They've got traps set up around the map from Hoven. They've got that Azami and the Legion on side again. So it's much more active in terms of the defense and what they're bringing. Doesn't mean they're going to win the round.
It doesn't, but if they want to, if M80 decide to go for vertical control and are heavily based on the second floor, you can have that pulse down below, giving calls to Hoven or Reaps to C4 players going for vertical destruction on the second floor. Vice versa, if you have a more direct take and nobody is really pushing down below, you can have someone from Bleed, like the Pulse and Capcan, instead go down below to try and help any retake attempt or stop anybody from putting the bomb down inside of the first floor. Of course, Yaga is down there right now. I imagine trying to deny a very similar position, make sure that Pulse or anybody with a C4 doesn't have the freedom to stop that plant once it starts going down. Man, these M80 attacks have been so quick to get players like Gomez into these positions right outside the bomb site, either in front, behind, or beside the defenders, but this time he's spotted. Asfi's able to cut him down, and that's a great find because if Gomez was left to fester in that position, I have to imagine M80 would have stormed into the bomb site.
And it's the second round in a row that we've seen Bleed get an entry, so they are starting to at least get more involved in a round. It doesn't mean they're winning them, but at least more involved. It may prove to be too little, too late, but for now, we're in a pretty good spot with Iconic with the diffuser in hand, ready to go, but didn't realize they were still being challenged on the downstairs. Really there. You're thinking Turtle should walk away with at least a single kill, at least a way of disrupting this push. They're going chasing after him, but No drones out on field. There's 5 on the field, but they've got no idea where Turd is. What's going on?
He's just completely wrapped around. The other 2 players decided to double up, play it safely. Now they found him on the Jackal. Oh, they're going hunting. They smell blood in the water. 3 different players all drop down to the bottom floor. They know they need this kill to bring it back, make it a 4v4. There's also the worry, if Turd is able to survive just a little bit longer, he'll waste a lot of time, but through the wall, Iconic finds the pulse. Spoy and Yaga as well, both on low HP, but they spent enough time to both get that kill and still have 45 seconds to open up more angles on the bomb site and maybe pressure some of these anchors.
Don't think it's going to be enough time wasted is the problem. Reap's finding one more, just take away some of the bite on the other side, but Yaga's got those gadgets out. They're being put to good use. So shortly here, you'll see a push forward. You'll see the team march on, but Diaz has gone down as well. A Hail Mary coming in from Iconic into the smoke, straight into the back corner. But being stared at by that bulletproof will only mean these verticals hurt. He finds one, getting swung on by another, but he's got it all to do, and the cover has to be here from Yogg. It's simply not going to happen. Yogg with nothing else to do but stare at that clock as we get into the last 10 seconds. Bleed will finally get on the board here, Carter.
Yeah, I love that call from Bleed as well. Actually, coincidentally, talking about the consulate match between M80 and DZ, M80 were running a very similar strategy to what Bleed were just doing, except a little bit different. I'll explain how. So instead of really having, you did have the pulse down below, but instead of having a huge presence inside the basement to allow for any C4s from below, instead, Bleed decided to play a retake strat from up above to say, okay, we've set up all these vertical angles on the floor. One, that means M80 either should clear us out, and that'll force them to waste time, waste utility, or if they don't do it, try to go for a plant in the site. If they haven't cleared us out, we have all those angles available to us. M80 did something similar, except instead of vertical angles, Solus was unbanned. They used the Specchio from up above to spot the diffuser through the floor and fire bullets through it. But a very good read by Bleed there. They said, okay, if Turd's able to waste a lot of time down below, we can go upstairs and stop the diffuser from ever going down.
Not that they had all 3 floors really in play there. The site in the middle, players up top, players down bottom, feeding information. Just gave M80 a bit too much to do. And that probably, again, is the second time in this game that I look at it and think, okay, it's the first time Bleed have shown active resistance. It was Reach pushing up yellow to get rid of Spoit a couple of rounds ago. Here it was Turd on the downstairs, admittedly missing what really should have been a free kill for his side to really get the round rolling in their favor, but ultimately transpired to wasting about 45 seconds, drawing 3 or 4 players downstairs. Ultimately getting up in M80's face, changing the game plan for them, and not giving them a free ride to a round close is what has won them their first round. If they get a second round here, M80 are going to feel robbed, because really after those first 4 rounds, you could have so easily seen this half being a 5-0, a 5-1, or a 6-0.
And especially if Bleed win this site, I mean, this was the site of some of M80's most dominant victories. Sure, there was never the official flawless like we saw in Basement, but in terms of the coordination, the speed, the decisiveness, this was some of M80's best rounds of the attack so far, was on the CEO bomb site, on the 3rd defense. We need to see Bleed get in the face more, and I think the introduction of the Azami, the first time we're seeing it on the CEO bomb site in particular, is evidence of that. You have these reinforcements placed further inside of the admin side, Hoven playing much farther up, Reaps with a shotgun playing much farther up. 4 different players on this Visa stairs and admin side, whereas before it was what? Maybe Hoven?
It was 1 player inside of the hallway, everyone else off towards the west, and that was it.
It was literally 1 to 2 people max on this side. Now, maybe you can say Bleed are over-investing a little bit, but I at least like what it represents. They know their problems, and they're trying to fix it, and M80 are clearing admin side. They're buying into it.
And actively changing the defense as well. Keeper barriers went up on the window first inside a copy. Now one's gone up inside a break room itself. And yes, M80 are inside, but last time, it was about the 2-minute mark when we were down to 60 seconds left. They had full control of the hallway. They aren't even yet inside a break. They're only just opening up that wall and starting to contest into that area. They will probably realize that it's empty, and then you have to start thinking about how we're pushing towards the hallway, because you've still got the Azami sat in behind the shield in there, which is another thing to work through. So it's much better, much more active a defense coming out of Bleed.
And it's worked M80 down to the final minute. Asphy uses his final Kiba barricade just to apply 1 little extra bit of annoyance for M80's attack. Even gets away with the rotation, but Bleed have had to vacate a long desk entirely, and Yaga quickly moves in to take that space, but here's Hoven going to contest it. It's a complete mentality shift from that first round, but with that final Candela going out, you have to be careful you don't see too much ground to Yaga, as you've already seeded the opening duel.
Don't see too much ground all your life, apparently, but Asphy goes back in for second helpings and pays the price as a result. Reaps finding Gomez here. Reaps having a good half so far. warned them far more than the rest of his team who were yet to get over that 2-kill mark. But as said, it only takes a couple of rounds and to really start balancing things out. Reeves is now down. Spoit onto a second within the round. Only 2 left standing, 15 seconds on the clock, and it's into a 2 versus 2.
Mentalist might just find an angle on one. It's only Spoit left alive. He heals himself only a little bit, but Mentalist gone unread. Turd takes the aggro, and Mentalist goes in for the kill. 4-2 half established for Bleed, and maybe M80 is kicking themselves because of unrealized potential, but for us viewers and us fans of Rainbow Six, I think we've got a ball game now.
I think for both sides, like, you're probably asking, what the hell was that half that we just watched? Like, it's so bizarre coming in that Bleed looks so passive. Like, we were joking in the pregame about how aggressive they are, about how they love to jump out and get up in people's faces and take gunfights and force teams into uncomfortable situations. But that was probably the most passive, like, you know, roll over and sort of die in those first 4 rounds from Bleed defensive half that I think I've ever seen. The last 2 definitely better. We remarked on that from the top-down view that we had, that we could see. They've moved 4 players over towards the east. They were actively using the Exami to contest into the attacking team. It took a lot of time. It did get them 2 rounds, but I'm still a little bit perplexed at what the hell we've just seen for 6 rounds. I'm hoping the second half delivers some better quality siege, that we see more active play coming out from M80 on the defense, and equally that more players on Bleed start to step up on the attack.
I can tell you this much. As a North American who watched Bleed baptize 2 of our best teams, well, one of our best teams going into an international event, and then, of course, also trouncing M80 the first day, I'm like, where's Reeps just pre-firing every angle known to existence? Where's Turd screaming about how he's so much better than his opposition? Maybe now that the side is swapped, even though it's a defender-sided tournament, we'll see Bleed start to pick up that pace and learn some of the lessons of their final defensive round and apply it to their attacking side. A lot of very useful bits of utility they have, specifically those Bs. If you're worried about anybody from M80 doing to you what you just did to them in that last round, getting a B on a close angle, maybe against a shotgun opponent, or just flooding a hallway or the bomb site, you can really make M80 defenders uncomfortable with what that operator can bring. But M80, they might avoid them entirely. Look at this setup. Gomez opening up holes from up above, similar to how Bleed did on the first floor bomb site, playing retake on the second. Here, take that entire setup, move everything down a floor, because now M80 can look down into the basement itself, and depending if Bleed decide to execute inside a garage, they've got angles to shut it down.
What I love about this is, again, you're seeing very different playstyles on defense coming out from both teams. Like right now, M80 occupy all 3 floors of the map. They are being really active. They want to control space. They want to force Bleed to have to commit resources or potentially players to get control of particular parts of the map. It's like, oh, good, you got the breach, no problem. We've got every other room. You can't execute while we've got this vertical control here. You're going to have to come and fight us or risk it. You've got no smokes to play behind, so things look a little bit dicey for Bleed. You've got to the kind of like, you can see the end goal, but you're not yet allowed to step across it.
We also see a huge rotation from Bleed, a reinvestment over on the tellers and the server side, because not only do we have Hoven lurking down, we've got 4 to 5 different players on this side of the map. Everyone from Bleed either droning in this location or actively taking control, so Hoven moving down the Visa stairs. How will M80 react? It seems Gomez, who has dropped down below all the way down to that bottom floor. Hoven's concerned about somebody coming from the back, while Gomez has retreated. Bleed, seeing the rotation from M80, getting concerned that they're running out of time to get something. Aspie now down on the floor. DS Lucas finding one. Spoit eyeing a second. Bleed are now far too spread thin, not knowing where to execute or where to get these kills.
The right idea is there's one spiral stairs, almost runs into all that, and Court's reloading as well. Iconic has timed it to perfection and gets away with an absolute freebie. 2 players left for Bleed. One thing I was going to remark on when I saw it happen, the Mozzie that captured one of those drones in mid-round, that was the first drone that had died all round for Bleed, which you might look at and go, wow, they keep all their drones alive. Yeah, by not using them. I can't imagine they were really invested in hunting down these players of M80 that were scattered around the map. And again, that lethargic nature we saw in defense, I feel, has come across to the defense here. They're being shot from angles they aren't expecting. There's no drones going in to feed the players that are trying to march forward. And for M80, they haven't had to get out of first gear yet. This looks far too comfortable.
I think the picture can be painted thus. There are 2 players who have 5 kills. One of them was Reeps. The other was Mentalist. Everyone else is struggling on the scoreboard. And I think this is one of those cases where the backline player is meeting and facing a lot of the action, because these frontline players either are pushing very slowly, losing their gunfights. Could be any number of factors. But the bleed we know, the bleed we love is not present at the moment. One issue I've seen in teams like SSG or D plus Kia is spending 8 drones and getting nothing from them. So they only have 2 in the late round. It's not often you see 8 drones alive and still nothing gained by it. No opening pick, no real control, because they try to pressure the front side, see it doesn't work out, and make the call to rotate. Then they rotate, feel they can't create an opening, and then what happens after that? Nothing really. It didn't even seem like there was an attempt made. They got scared at the front, got scared at the back, and then M80 just picked them off one by one.
Found it really quite perplexing, especially when this team is the one that banned away Solus. You'd think there'd be more aggressive use of the drones to collect information and make plays off the back of what's being fed to the rest of the team. Again, it's not the bleed that we've seen and grown to love. Even looking at them on like player cams, for example, I think the reason why many people loved bleed back in Atlanta was they were the fun team. They were laughing, they were joking. In fact, just a couple of days ago when I was watching one of their games, I forget which one it was, but they lost a really close round. And rather than being all downbeat about it, they were just like, oh, let me give it a go. It was funny. They were laughing. They were still joking. That energy was there. I haven't seen that from them in this game.
I haven't either, and maybe it's one of those cases where, with how brutal those opening first 4 rounds were for Bleed, maybe after that the mental needs a lot of time to recover. One time that, especially after you've taken your attack pause, you can't often give yourself that time to recover because you have to play the game. Here, at least, Bleed have tried to open things up. C4 goes out, and I believe that takes off. Yep, takes the second Selma charge, so Mentalist will have to use another one to fully open up that hole. You have split bomb site, the Tellers and Archives defense. Classic one where you usually have about 5,000 to 6,000 C4s to play retake from Tellers. Only 2 actually, and 1 was used to destroy that Selma. So at least the the traditional way I think a lot of us feel this bomb site is played won't be super applicable here, but we can see kind of the game plan right now with vertical angles to look down below.
We saw last round M80 playing up on the top floor. We're seeing it again in this round, and there has been no clear evidence or communication from Bleed that, right, there's a player upstairs, we need him gone.
No recognition.
Guys, 2 of you on repels right now. 2 of us are on drones. You're going to go and push up Spiral. We're going to get this guy removed. Think about when we saw Turdster in the basement on the Pulse, for example, back on Bleed's defense. M80, 3 players, bam, straight there after him. And yes, it took 45 seconds, but they got their man. We're not seeing the same coming out of the other side. And I keep on harping on about it. I keep ragging on a Bleed because we've seen better. We know they can be better. I don't know if it's a map thing or what, but this is not the Bleed we are used to seeing.
And it's one of those
cases. He's still here. Like, he hasn't
exactly.
moved.
And it's one of those cases where even if the problem solving and the priority and the prioritization wasn't good like it is right now, at least they were taking fights. At least they were trying to shoot people. Now, it literally feels like we're not watching Bleed because there's no aggression, no confidence, and even with that lack of structure, there's nothing to compensate for it. It's 50 seconds of, I don't know, Mentalist taking some damage and DS Lucas being dealt some. So we know Bleed are at least making some theoretical process in pressuring that basement bomb site. Astvi's even made his way in. He's planning inside at Tellers. Does anybody from M80 realize this?
Surely.
For all the flack we were giving them, there we go. Spoit, that player you were begging them to deal with, well, guess what he just did? Deny the plan.
He's been in basically the same spot for the last 2 minutes and unmoved the whole time. Turd at least gets something. Gomez goes down. Finally, Spoit has been dismantled and they get away with the plan. You're going to do what he can here. Try and get the kills, but it's simply not going to happen. Bleed do get the close, but my God, was it frustrating to watch.
It's one of those 4v1. It's one of those 4v1 rounds or very strong wins where I'm like, yeah, but
it didn't feel like a win.
Yeah, how much did you really earn that from your play? You won the gunfights, I'll give you that. And you also recognize that you might be able to get away with the plant and Tellers. Those are certainly positives in Bleed's column, and I will not take that away from them. But one of those plants was stopped by a guy who was growing moss from the amount of time he was sitting inside of admin, waiting for you to plant in the very position you ended up attempting a plant. So I'll give credit where credit's due. Bleed, you recognized a priority, and while you did end up dropping a body to Spoit, because of the advantage you gained, we saw, I believe, Mentalist quickly realize what was going on, run up the stairs, take him down, round done after that. But still, it was M80's game, through and through, until some very sudden changes of pace got Bleed the round in the end. So while there were some positives, you need to see more. We need to see more than that.
We do. Coming into round 9, this is the round that me and Tim always talk about in our broadcast. It's that deciding round for me to where the pendulum is going to swing. If M80 win it, they go up to 6-3. They've got 3 bites of the cherry. They can play 3 different sites to get that 1 round they need to close the map out. That's a lot of breathing room. If Bleed win it, we're at 5 and 4. You've got a 1 round advantage, and suddenly the momentum shifts massively towards Bleed. So this one is really important. The run out comes through, and that's Reap's gone. Starboy of the map is offline.
Great run out from Bleed. Oh, sorry, that was M80 that got that run out. You know, I saw that great. Yeah, I saw that great aggression, Dez, and I thought, oh, maybe it's Bleed on the defense, but no. That characteristic play is being done more by their opposition than Bleed themselves.
Just frustrated again, because I'm like, you know, you should be anticipating these things. You should be anticipating C4s coming singing your way. You should be getting more than 3 people into the building, or have more than 2 left alive when you've been 40 seconds into the round so far. Not even going to get a chance to use the Candelas at this rate. They had so much gadgetry on side. The E1Ds are there for Reaps, but players have just been removed, and it seems like no bother at all to M80. And I would be very surprised if they don't just cruise onto a map win in the next round.
Des, if I took away all the player names and the team names, and I told you one of these teams beat Liquid and one of these teams doesn't have a win, which one would you say was which?
You would absolutely invert it based on the play today, Carter.
Yeah, you'd think M80, with the confidence they have the wind in their sails, but nope. Instead, it's Bleed, who are not last in this group, playing like they have everything to lose. Oven will use 2 of those Candelas, but there's nothing gained off of it. Just trying to force M80 out of position, maybe bait a kill. I understand it in this particular spot. If you go charging on in, they can just play the trades and win the round. So I don't envy Hoven or Turret's position in this particular instance. I don't think they're necessarily doing anything incorrectly. It's just the damage is done by the very confident play from M80 early on. Hoven, who's still sitting on this rappel. Maybe he'll join Turret on yellow stairs and try and find an honorable death in round 9.
They're doing their best, but I'm with you. Once you've lost 3 of your 5 players inside 40 seconds, that round is basically a write-off. No utility left to play behind except the smoke and the single flash. In all those Candelas used and deployed, there is still the Warden available on the other side. There is still a C4 to play behind. It's a write-off. It's just a very slow write-off.
I appreciate the text chat from Turret. At least it seems like he might be in good spirits. He's just begging for M80 to give him a kill. Well, DS gave Hoven some bullets. Not really an even trade, unfortunately, but I suppose there we go.
And you got his 1.
There, Turret does indeed find his 1, but M80 finds 1 round to get them to match point. 6-3, which is a much wider stat line than 5 and 4 if Bleed had ended up winning this round. And
Turret just saying thanks. Thanks, Yog Dog.
Shout out to Yaga. But, I mean, without attack timeout at this point, Bleed are going to have to figure out their issues entirely in this round. And we've done a lot of ragging on Bleed. And I think
fairly so.
No, I'm not saying unfairly. I think it's perfectly fair. But you know what? I'm going to take the entirety of this just to give credit to M80, because they have not won a single map. SI24. They didn't win a single series in Atlanta. They only won 1 in Copenhagen. And what is happening? They are playing this map, their choice of consulate, like they have every reason to win this tournament. Like they have every reason to top this group, make it far. They're playing like winners. They're playing like confident players. And what do confident players do? They go for run-outs if they feel they're well-informed. They see someone on rappel and they say, hey, you got a C4, I've got intel, why don't we, meet up and make something happen out of this? That's exactly what M80 are doing. They're doing it successfully. And we were talking about what might happen if Bleed win 2-0. If Bleed keep playing like this, I'll be shocked if they get next map.
I'm completely with you. Totally agree on that front. My only fear is that Oregon, again, is an undefeated map for Bleed. They have won, I think, the last 6 times they've played in it since their inception in March last year. So it is a strong map for them, but on the day, it doesn't matter if they're not playing at their normal level that we've seen throughout the competition so far. And yes, all the praise for M80, but for me, if you haven't really got an opponent to play against, you can look like a world champion just by doing the most basic things of getting in and shooting people. So we'll see how this round closes out, but I'm pretty sure we all have an expectation, and I'll be shocked. I'll tell you what I can't wait to see, the chat prediction or the social prediction after this game going into map 2, what the swing is, because there were 54% going to Bleed with this one.
Yeah, I would not be shocked if after this we see maybe even M80 pushing into the 60 percentages, up from 46 up into maybe like 62, something like that. Not a mathematician, but I can tell you just from the eye test and vibes, M80 have my vote for map 2, even if it's a close affair. Hoven made his way into the building. Reaps as well, to their credit, very, very quickly. But again, a scattered push at the moment. They found intel on Yaga, and we think to ourselves, okay, we found a player. He's going to be running around now, but you at least have an idea, and you pushed him down below. So maybe you can't pinch him, but now all 5 players back on the bomb site for M80. So now middle floor, the top floor, it's free for the taking for Bleed, and they still have 7 drones, and there you go. They recognize the opportunity. Reaps will now start getting in a position to use the skeleton key. Sure, he's taking a lot of damage, Dez, but we're at least making progress in good time.
We are, and the key thing here is they've got the vertical control. That wasn't in their hands last time, if you remember. They basically seeded the entire map to M80 and were like, oh, we've got 10 drones left. What do we do? Now the vertical control is gone because the book has been taken out, and now it's kind of back to not so much square one, but it means moving a player or 2 into his place, and immediately it's going to be Asfi and Hoven stepping in towards the spot. Of course, got the ITA in the back pocket of the Jackal as well to take over the responsibilities of the book. Admittedly not quite as good, but can still do as many things as required. We're into that last 60 seconds, though, and not seeing too much significant movement yet.
No, and with a 5v4, M80 fully holding the bomb site, DS Lucas might still have Evil Eyes. Iconic doesn't have any more Kibas, but...
You just turn around there like, are they here? Like, hello?
like, where are these guys coming from? And at this point, M80 just need to wait. Whether Bleed fled in from yellow or even get that opportunity, M80 are doming them across the entire bomb side at this point. Dez, I have a feeling this is going M80's way in the next 30.
It feels like it. At least Hoven finding himself put onto his backside as well. Really thought they'd find the Maestro there for a second, but Diaz remains completely healthy for now. Asfi playing on the upstairs has got the right sort of idea, but it's about the step forward. We really need, or he needs, those defenders to come forward so we can find them, because as it stands, he's got no way of seeing them. It's a great shot from the back by Mentalist at the very least. They should be able to get the Jackal up as well. It's all on Mentalist and all on Hoven to push in here, and Gomez is ready for the drop.
He's just waiting. He's got a goo mine kill onto Hoven of all things. And in one fell swoop, M80 take their pick and barely break a sweat. Wow. If that was a way to re-inspire confidence in this M80 squad, that they might just have a shot at making it to our bracket stage, man, I don't know if you could have concocted something better aside from just a straight up 7-0.
I am totally with you. The thing is, you remind me of Tim. You're very optimistic. I don't understand about M80. It'd be great to see them playing well. Like, you know, Sport is one of my favorite players. I love seeing these guys when they play well. The problem is that hasn't really been the thing. And even though you're looking at this and going, well, they've just won 7-3 days, they've just played really well. They have, but like I said during the game, they've done the basics. There wasn't really an opponent there for them to fight against, because for half of it, Bleed just were not present. A lot of the fundamentals were missing. They were giving up vertical control and never challenging Spoit for 2 minutes, despite him being sat there the entire time. The irony is, they won that round. I can't see any rhyme or reason to why Bleed are playing the way they do on a map that they've picked going into it. And M80, I feel really harsh in saying this, I don't want to put praise on them for beating an opponent that is not playing Siege the way that it should be played right now. They do not look like a team that deserves to be at SI. Not M80, Bleed, this is what I'm talking about. If they play like that again, they deserve to be under threat tomorrow.
I mean, to be fair, we have Oregon coming up, which, as you talked about, they're not flawless on it, but no, flawless, right?
They are, haven't lost on it.
Well, I mean, 8-0 on it, and they beat W7M on it. You'd hope, of all the maps they could have potentially chosen of the 9, Oregon coming up next would be it. But before we answer that question, we have a quick break, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Cost them a little bit, so this time get that a little bit smoother, get that wall cleared off, and don't burn too much utility on it.
Yeah, most definitely. And speaking of utility, I mean, look at the Sonics lineup right now. 3 hard breachers as well as Citizen on the Rotero drones, and 9 flirting with death a little bit, but I respect it. I respect it wholeheartedly. Trying to see if we can get some early influence here and potentially get a big kill. Citizen with a cheeky drone hold there. That's a smart cover. A thing a lot of people think about, especially when it comes to that strip area of the map. These little drone holes can actually be a big nuisance. I've died to those things in some of the dumbest ways possible, Ace.
It's so frustrating. So. We can see Gio just working with the exothermic chargers on CCTV wall, looking at construction wall as well. So they'll be down to the Ace and the Maverick to open up Jacuzzi side. The reason that Gio's doing that is they want to force the players out of that area. CCTV and Cash particularly, make them feel like they're pinched and force them back to site, because once the Sonics have got control of CCTV, they're able
able then to use that catwalk that's just outside of the windows, look on into sight, and start applying pressure to the back of Jacuzzi wall. It'll help them get that open, and it just starts to unlock the round a little bit. So we need a little bit more momentum from the Sonics here. We're a minute 20 in. They're not quite established inside of the map yet, and we've still got players. I say that, I'm just looking at our top down on the side. They have managed to force Cash clear. Construction is next. I9's still in there. Once they get that out of the way, then it'll be job done.
We do have 9 still lurking around. I want to see he's over inside of stage. Yes, he is. Right inside of the bar double here. That could be a pretty interesting fold later on down the line. Well, that's actually going to be coming pretty quickly. Only got a minute and 10 seconds left inside of this round. But some nice angles built up from the Sonics. Practically everything you would want for a Master Assault. Nitro Cell out. Potentially getting rid of some Claymores, but no, not even that. It's actually going to, I believe, land on the windowsill. Doesn't achieve too much for him. And now Rex in scene if a single Fury member wants to try and take a crack at this window swing.
Just going to be sending the Rotero drones in. Citizen doing some work to clear utility. 45 seconds left to go as Wrexham manages to pick up Crit J, who's been quiet so far in the first 4 or 5 rounds. Gio knows that the flank is on here. I9 must have been spotted out. It's going to be Ambi to pick up the kill, and it's mostly going in the Sonics direction at the minute. BG Man does manage to pick up 1 onto Ambi as a late trade, but 2 versus 4 now. The pressure is going to mount very quickly. Like Cole is shot as he tries to run away from the breach. It's all up to BG Man. It's going to have to be a big round from him. He manages to find another. That's 3. This could be an ace if he closes this out. It's 1v2 right now. The diffuser goes down. Gio sticks it. BG Man nearly finds him though. Damage is done. He sends out more utility but can't find the kill.
BG's going to hop out. Big fight here, and he can't get it done. Grixer shuts him down with the M4. Sonics dastardly. He's on the entries, but almost one of the biggest moments for BG, man, I have seen personally on the Fury roster. All for naught at the end of the day, though, as the Sonics are able to get that dealt with accordingly. Almost in trouble there for Gio as well, as that second impact seemed like it was primed to down him, but I believe it ended up landing just a little bit earlier in its arc there. So unfortunately didn't end up going through the breach into weights. Now, Sonics in the driver's seat on the offensive side. Do remember, folks, Clubhouse, one of our most defender-sided maps right now in the entire pool.
The first time that Sonics have been ahead so far today. The first 2 rounds went to Fury, but they're now seriously on the back foot with 3 in a row for Sonics. Oh, what a beautiful shot from Wrexham that was. And then it just all sort of fell apart from there. Obviously, it was always going to be difficult. Ready for the jump out there. Grixer well prepared, took his man down. But Fury just sort of starting to stumble, to struggle. Everything they're trying to do away from sight just isn't really working anymore. They were forced out of Cash and CCTV quite quickly then. I9 tries to come up on the flank. Ambi's there ready and waiting for it. Gets him shut down. So Sonics basically just had the run of it. They had him corralled back into sight very, very quickly. And it was sort of similar on the previous round as well. The extension on the top floor. I9 got picked up on the cap can, taken down. The Sonics are going in. They're using the drones well. They're recognizing what Fury are doing. They're pushing them quickly and they're closing them down, and they're just removing any sort of extension that they're trying to make to these defenses very, very quickly. So it's leaving Fury playing in such a small portion of the map, and it's really impressive stuff from the Sonics over the last couple of rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Once the Sonics get set up, they seem indomitable, and Fury really hasn't had anything to be able to try and change that fade up. So we'll see if there's some potential in this last round of their defense. But I totally agree with you, especially from Nine's perspective. He really hasn't been able to achieve too much on these roams. It's constantly been Sonics setting things up and awaiting his arrival, and more than likely slaying him in the process. And so taking things off. We saw that in the last round there for Ambi, as he was the one to take him down dark. He has a good timing. He'll be able to get that first time up.
Yeah, they're going to have to make sure that they deal with that Ambi out here on the warehouse catwalk stairs, garage stairs, sorry. If they go for it now, it's going to be so easy. They have absolutely no idea. Even with the default cam up, they don't know. Stokes, Ambi gets an absolute freebie. It will open up CCTV as well. Likely force them back out of Cash, which has already happened. They've given that up. And I9's playing in the same position as he was before, down on stage. The flank didn't work last time. It's not likely to work this time.
One difference, though. He is pulsed this time, and that is a very key thing, as well as they have killed citizens. So Game plan here working swimmingly, I would say. I do like the difference maker there because I definitely agree with you, but with the cardiac sensor being there now and being able to read things out, oh my gosh, Crits. Nine just called this man on the balcony. What are we making this rotation for? We just give him the 3 versus 3.
And I9's sort of moving back into a position on those main stairs. If he's going to play the pulse, he needs to get himself underneath, have the nitro be there for the denial, and that's just not what is happening at all at the minute. He's in fact back in sight, I think, by the looks of things. So again, questions for me for Fury there. You know, if you're going to bring that along, I think the concern is that they've just lost too many players because they needed the numbers back. But Gio a little bit unfortunate there, losing out even on the pre-fire. And in a 2v1, it does give an opportunity for Fury to close this one out. I think the Sonic's just losing a couple of gunfights along the way.
No cardiac sensor out, and actually he's got the pistol. Really hoping to get that primary reloaded here. It's BG man underneath. This is so ass backwards. This does not make any sense as to why I9 isn't down there. But I mean, I get it. Grixer gets a plant somehow. No nitro cell for 9. That's why he wasn't down there. But still, the cardiac sensor just really making things easier for you to shoot somebody through the floor. But Grixer going to make a rotation here over towards logistics, and he's going to end up going down to BG man. So Fury will at least be able to tie things up here on their defensive side. But man, was that a weird round, Ace.
I just feel like they made hard work of it. I feel like they just made hard work of it. You've literally got somebody who can see through floors. Pulse can see through the floor.
He literally can cheat. He can literally wall hack,
He
okay?
can just go downstairs, and the trouble for, you know, the reason Grixer was able to get that diffuser down was that he didn't have the information to know where it was going down. There's 2 ways of this. I9 could go downstairs and see for himself. I9 was on the other side of the wall, can hear the diffuser being planted, so he knows he's not being pushed. He even could have just pulled the cardiac sensor out and pinged for him to say this is where he is, so he could shoot through the floor. So Fury, yes, getting the job done. Good on them. Well done. They made hard work of it. And the problem was, the reason that I'm critical of it is that they gave Grixer a chance.
Yes.
When Grixer gets that, there's no reason for him to have a chance there. Once he gets that diffuser down, he comes off, and they're still not challenging him immediately. In a different timeline, he catches the one coming back up main stairs, and then he's 1v1, and all of a sudden he's in logistics, he's got a position that he can defend, and he's just fighting against I9, who, let's be honest, on the pulse, does not have the best gun in the game, as we all know. It was just such an unnecessary chance to give the Sonics. Hey-ho, the round is done. They got it. It's 3-3. Sonics go on to defense. Fury, you're going to have to show us something on the attack, though.
Let's see it. What's this lineup looking like here? Well, we got a lot of firepower when it comes to the rifles we're bringing here. The block intel, we expect that. 417 for Dark and the crit. On the Niana, G36. BG Man is going to be on the torch job here for the double wall on plat. Handle things accordingly. Where's our soft breach at? It should be 9. Where's it going to be over at? We do have Lycolis here as well. That's right next to him. He's on Thermite. So more than likely not going to be using that exothermic to get that open, I sure hope. But they could obviously use it in tandem if they want to, the way that the Sonics did. That was a pretty clean breach, the way that they ended up repelling there and getting the batteries, using that exothermic a little bit higher. Obviously didn't exactly work the way they wanted it to on Jacuzzi with the impacts flying through and getting rid of both those exothermics, but still a decent shout for a way to deal with the wall with those 2 utilities being a part of the offensive perspective. Now for Fury, though, it seems like they want to try and transition here, and they have, at a bare minimum, gotten the wall soft for the leftmost panel over on plat, and that means that 9 needs to now rotate over and open this up for them.
Well, after what turned out to be an interesting map of Consulates, found out that M80 can indeed win a map, and came out doing so in very convincing fashion. The Bleed we know did not turn up, but you can't take it away from the North American side. They played the game before them, and they played it far better than we have seen so far throughout the Invitational 2024. That was their map pick. We now step across into Oregon. It could be a different affair, but if things carry on as they have so far, M80 will get that 2-0 and have a wonderful showdown with Liquid tomorrow.
Tomorrow, that M80 Liquid game will be of the utmost importance for, basically most of the group in terms of round differential stats. It could have a wide range of ramifications, but M80 will, of course, have to win to save themselves from going home. But at the same time, that depends on Bleed's Virtus Pro result. And also, really, right now, right here. I've learned that M80 do in fact know ball. I don't even know if Bleed know how to dribble after map 1 because sure, Consulate can be defender-sided, but Bleed got the benefit of that first, and it seemed like they really didn't know how to structure those defenses.
I think Consulate is one of our most attacker-leaning, but I don't think that even influenced it.
True, and it did not, because Bleed were just kind of like a blank canvas.